welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews podcast. It's episode 4. I'm Gary.
And I'm Ian.
And Ian, how you been?
I've been alright.
Ian, I heard you just had some good news. You just passed your driving test.
Ah, tell the world why don't... Yes, I passed my driving test. Fucking 3 different instructors, 2 years of lessons and 3 different tests.
Ian, you play Grand Theft Auto way too much.
No, I don't. That's the thing. I stopped playing Grand Theft Auto when I started to learn to drive because I felt that it was affecting my learning to drive. I haven't played Grand Theft Auto in like 2 years, and it's weird because part of me kind of does want to go back to it because I never did the story.
No,
all I did was multiplayer.
I still say this, Ian. You're the only person in the world that's ever purchased Grand Theft Auto 5 and never completed the story, or never even played the story.
But that's because my online character was my story. You know, when I created the online character, and this is the thing. I blame you. Because when I got Grand Theft Auto 5, you'd already been playing it for 2 months with Jason.
Yeah.
Our friend. And so finally, when I got GTA 5, I met up with you guys to play online, and you stopped playing it.
Well, yeah.
So I was like, well,
I'm like that. I move on to the next game already.
That's it. I was just like, well, I'm not missing out on this. I'm going to get it. And so my character looked like me. You know, I was doing missions for myself. There was no story director dictating where I had to go.
Yeah.
And I was just free to do whatever I wanted in this vast map. Before I knew it, time seemed to pass. You know, people had completed the story, the DLC for the multiplayer come out. I was like, ooh, heist. They're like, have you never done the heist in the story mode? I'm like, no. How much story have you done? About 6%. And that's still there.
Wow.
You know, I haven't met Trevor yet.
Are you going to do the same with Red Dead when it comes out later this year or next year?
Well, I mean, it depends really. Because I never completed the story for Red Dead Redemption either.
What? Did you just Wikipedia the ending?
No, well, yes, but I think at the time Red Dead Redemption came out, Dylan had been born, so obviously I was busy looking after him and not having the time to sit down and put into a game.
Which is fair. Yeah.
By the time I did get around to doing it, GTA 4 was out, and I kind of wanted to play that because Red Dead was a bit old by this point.
True.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, welcome everyone to the podcast. Of course, we're going to break it down into 3 segments. In the first segment, we're going to talk about any games or films that we've watched or played recently.
Yep.
We're going to look at some film trailers and some film news. The topic of this podcast is going to be VR. Virtual reality.
Yes.
Is it the next step in technology, and is it going to deliver the next best piece of entertainment?
Do you want to get me started now, or should we wait until...
No, it was rhetorical.
Yeah,
I was just saying. And finally, we will end with questions from our viewers.
At the same time, I'm going to chuck this in now, as per requested last podcast. Gary and I are drinking during this podcast.
I've been drinking for about an hour now already. It's like...
Gary's got his Jack Daniels and Coke in his glass. I've got my San Miguel. We're going to clink. We're clinking it. And yeah, so if halfway through, maybe 3/4 of the way through this podcast, I start mumbling, making no sense and drooling out my mouth, it's the reason why. It's because I'm drinking beer.
Absolutely, yeah. So take everything that we say in this podcast with a pinch of salt.
A fucking handful of salt.
Or just the whole shaker. So, Ian, I think I probably may have seen the best film this year already.
Really?
Yeah. I saw Logan.
Oh, nice.
My God. I went in with sort of interesting expectations.
Mm.
Like, I'm very familiar with the comic book, and so I kind of knew the story. And then once the film started, I realised that this is nothing like that comic book. It's borrowed like 1 or 2 ideas.
Yeah, I think...
But it's its own thing.
The major influence is the old man Logan kind of aspect, because obviously Hugh Jackman isn't no spring chicken anymore.
Well, it's interesting.
Which works in his favour because, you know, we've, as fans of the X-Men franchise, we've followed Hugh Jackman pretty much through the whole series of movies.
For a long time now.
Through different timelines and different storylines. And then for him to be able to get his own kind of... Well, I don't want to say ending, because obviously I've Wikipedia'd the story. Mm-hmm. But, you know, he has said himself that he wants to stop being Wolverine.
Yeah.
So this is kind of... Yeah, and if you're familiar with the Old Man Logan comic book, you kind of know that this is the ending for Wolverine in the future.
It's still a different ending to the comic book in the film. It is its own, I guess, its own alternate universe, because I expect, I think it's Fox that owns the Wolverine and the X-Men movies.
Yeah.
They're probably going to recast him, alternate timeline him, or just do stories without him. And, most of the films without Hugh Jackman in the X-Men franchise have not been that great. Granted, some of the worst ones in the franchise have had Hugh Jackman in them.
Yeah.
But, it's still, he's been, even in those bad films, he's still been good.
Yeah, well, because he's Wolverine.
Yeah.
He is Wolverine. I look at Hugh Jackman, and when he's got his hair short, he's Hugh Jackman. When his hair's long and he's got a beard, he's fucking Wolverine.
Yeah. And of course, and so, Logan was just an amazing film, just beautifully crafted. It was the same director that directed the previous standalone Wolverine film where he was in Japan, was it?
Oh, the Wolverine.
The Wolverine, yeah. So it was the same director.
That was a lot better than Wolverine Origins, I felt.
Yes, it was. It still had the crazy ending where he had to fight the robot. But with Logan, it really worked from start to finish. It's still 10, 20 minutes into the film, I was a little bit unsure.
Yeah.
But once the first action scene started and I was seeing, it wasn't just the gore effect, but it was the gore effect.
Yeah.
It just made you go, holy shit, I am actually really seeing the damage that Wolverine can do to people. But it's all character driven as well.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
The bloody gory bits is just icing on a really well made cake.
That's what you kind of wanted. I think Deadpool was the big turning point for that. People have always been a bit afraid about putting violence into comic book movies because, well, comic books are for kids.
Yeah.
Deadpool comes along and says, no, it's not.
Mm.
Blatantly, just, no, it's not. We're going to put sex, violence, fucking swearing into this movie. And people loved it.
Yeah.
So then Logan comes along. And the thing that was always missing from the X-Men movies previously up to this point was seeing the damage that Wolverine could administer to his enemies.
Yeah.
I mean, the only time I think I ever really saw him stabbing anybody was Mystique.
Probably.
And she didn't really bleed. She just came across with a bit of a scar. But seeing the trailers for this one, you can see where it's cut. Where you'll see the little girl come out and she's holding something. They're like, oh my God. And you're like, that's a head. She's fucking holding a head down.
Oh, yeah. She is vicious and she is great. And, for a child actress like she is, she hardly has any dialogue for the first half of the film.
Yeah.
Some of it you don't understand, but she emotes so much for
Good.
just her character, which it needs to be believable in order for a character like Logan to actually want to give a damn.
Yes.
When he's coming from a place where he just doesn't give a fuck.
Yes.
Patrick Stewart in the film as well, just another brilliant performance, and it's kind of scary when you're looking at your own morality and you see someone like Patrick Stewart who you've seen
You
throughout
mean
the
mortality?
X-Men. Mortality, yeah.
Morality.
Morality, yeah. Sorry, I'm drinking.
Yeah.
And just seeing him suffering Alzheimer's, and it's just devastating. And seeing like the father-son relationship between the two of them just comes through in the film.
How was I think it's Stephen Merchant playing is it Calypso?
Yes.
No,
yeah.
Caliban.
Caliban, yes.
Caliban.
I mean, he's been recast in almost every film, and it's been kind of said that it's an excuse that screenwriters like to use because they're like, oh, we need something that can track mutants. Oh, Caliban is the one mutant that can track mutants.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Caliban keeps turning up. He's not even a major character in Marvel Universe.
No.
But the screenwriter's like, oh, we need a mutant that can do this. So as a plot tool, they keep using it.
But what was Stephen Merchant like? Because I mean,
I was really sympathetic to his character in the film and the way that he's kind of bullied and mistreated by Logan.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's still trying to do the right thing.
Because I found out something funny is they revisited the Crystal Maze just before Christmas last year.
I heard that.
And Stephen Merchant was playing the Richard O'Brien host of the show, and he's running around bald. And I was just like, he can't really be bald. And so I looked into it, and he'd obviously shaved his head for this.
To play that character.
To play Caliban. And so when he had to shave it, they spotted him and were like, yeah, we want you to do Crystal Maze. So Stephen Merchant, voice of Wesley, I believe, in Portal 2 as well.
Yes, yeah.
And it works a lot with Ricky Gervais. So
Yeah.
when I saw that he was going to be in this film, I was glad because, you had Patrick Stewart, British actor, then you had Stephen Merchant, another British actor. But then I was worried how it would work with Hugh Jackman. But Hugh Jackman, he's fucking awesome. He can pretty much work with anybody.
They've made it work, and this film is going to stand up there because I already said before, I get a little bit burnt out with superhero movies, and this film reinvigorated my interest in watching every single Marvel adaptation that comes out this year. And of course, I am super pumped for Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, God,
I've only seen the first trailer. I know there's been like 6 more since. And
they're all pretty much the same one.
Probably, but just showing that extra clip or extra bit. And, you know, I know that they're building up, I think it's to the Infinity Wars.
Yes.
And I know that the Guardians are going to get involved in that, but I'm just hoping that this is just going to be a good, another standalone space adventure with these characters before they get caught up in the bigger universe.
I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be something that they're dealing with, but somehow or towards the end, it will slowly connect to Thanos searching for the stones. Oh, where are the stones? They're on Earth. We better call Tony Stark. Yeah. That's how it's all about. But then we've also got Thor Ragnarok coming soon.
Yeah.
Which I've heard rumours they're encapsulating Planet Hulk at the same time. There's nods and hints that the Hulk is going to end up on a planet, you know, become the savior of some fucking village or something. You know, meet somebody, fall in love, and then it's just going to go all tits up. And oh, look, Thanos is here. We best call Tony Stark.
It is one of the greatest Hulk storylines in the comics, but I don't know whether it'll happen in film. If it happens in film, that's going to be amazing.
It's too big for it to happen on its own. But from what I gather, you've got Thor going off to do this thing, and Hulk's ended up going with him. And obviously, I'm assuming, I'm just spitballing here, that they get separated at one point, and Hulk will be on his own with like a village, fucking Vikings fighting off some kind of monster, and he deals with them, falls in love with some milkmaid, and probably she gets stamped on by Thanos. Yeah. You know, and everybody goes, let's call Tony Stark.
Probably, unless, you know, something happens to him in the next movie.
And then you've got Wonder Woman turning up.
What?
Well, you've got Wonder Woman the movie coming soon.
Oh, yes. Yeah, actually, I'd kind of forgotten all about that one. It's all this talk about the next Batman and Superman and Justice League. And it's like, actually, Wonder Woman is due out.
Wonder Woman is actually being overshadowed by this whole Justice League thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, let Wonder Woman have her moment, because that's how Marvel has done. Well, because when they release a film, they keep the spotlight on that film for a bit and ignore. We're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, but we're also hinting towards Infinity Wars. We haven't. When is that out? We don't know.
No. Well, speaking of Marvel still, I just caught the first few episodes of Iron Fist, which has just come out on Netflix.
Yeah.
And, you know, I loved Daredevil.
Yeah.
I loved season 2 of Daredevil. I liked The Punisher.
Okay.
Jessica Jones, I enjoyed, then got bored, and then enjoyed it again.
Did you finish the series?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
It's the end. Luke Cage, I didn't watch. I was like, I burnt out superhero stuff. I was like, I don't need any more. I didn't really like the character on Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't really want to follow that. And Iron Fist, I was like, okay, so what do we have here? We have a generic white guy who has martial arts skills, and he's a super acrobatic. And when he takes too much damage, he hones in his zen and punches really hard.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the story is going to have to be pretty gripping in order for me to get invested into it.
Yeah.
And I fell asleep during the 3rd episode, but that was because it kept me up until 3 a.m.
Oh, okay. So you got through episodes 1 and 2, 3
and I was like, I don't want to go to bed yet. I want to keep watching, but eventually I fell asleep. And yeah, I'm quite excited actually. I want to continue watching it. I know that all of these characters that are in this Marvel TV series are going to probably meet up together and
and they'll probably
fight the hand.
I mean, saying that, depending on how many movies they decide to do with Infinity Wars. They might do one movie of Infinity Wars and then hint towards it in the shows.
Well, yeah, the shows are just usually picking up on the aftermath of what happens in the films, kind of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of did, but I stopped watching that after the midpoint of season 2.
There's a new TV series out as well. I can't remember, can't put the finger on what the name's called, but I believe it's about a crash unit that takes care in the DC universe. It's like an office block that deals with all the damage that Superman and Batman and the rest of them out. Yeah.
I'm aware of it, but again, I'm not too fussed about any of the DC shows. Well, then again, I've heard some really good things about Supergirl.
I could probably tell you a couple of things good about Cyberpunk.
So, Ian, what have you been watching or playing
Well,
since the last podcast?
well, as it's the build up towards WrestleMania, I mean, by the time this podcast goes out, WrestleMania will be tomorrow, which will be Sunday, April 2nd.
Yeah.
I've literally been living on the WWE network. I edit. I go to work. I edit. Deal with Dylan.
There's only one match I want to see, and it's the Brock Lesnar Goldberg match.
Why? It's going to be like 2 minutes long.
Well,
He's going to pick him up, F5 him, and that's it. It's
They
done.
cannot do that.
Yes, they can.
They've done that for 2 pay-per-views,
Yeah, I
building
know,
it
I know.
up to this one.
So
they can't do that at
So
WrestleMania.
you want a 30-minute beatdown between Brock Lesnar
It's
and
about
Goldberg.
frickin' time. How long have we waited for this to happen?
Years. But it's. I worry about the matches just in case they end up tarnishing the legacy before. It always brings me to The Undertaker. Undertaker is facing Roman Reigns.
It's going to happen. If they have a shitty match that is only 30 seconds long, that tarnishes the legacy.
Yes. Yeah. They've got to have a match. Brock Lesnar and Goldberg definitely have to have a WrestleMania match better than the one they had with Austin as the referee.
Yeah.
But that comes down to the crowd. The crowd at that point had already understood that Brock Lesnar and Goldberg were leaving WWE, and so booed them the whole way through.
Mm-hmm.
The wrestlers still pull off a good match, but the crowd...
They were just upset.
They were just upset. I'm worried about that for WrestleMania as well, because, okay, everyone's going to be hopefully chanting for Goldberg.
Yeah.
So Goldberg puts the beat down on Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar gets those German suplexes in. I want to see Goldberg fly. I want to see how many German suplexes it takes to knock Goldberg on his ass.
How many finishes do you think they're both going to have to land on each other?
Goldberg
in order to
only
get the pin?
needs to hit one spear
No.
and one jackhammer to win,
Mm.
but Brock Lesnar is going to deal at least 3 or 4 F5s to him, and possibly an F5 off the top corner.
Damn.
That would be sick, wouldn't it? That would be sick.
It's going to be. I mean, like I said, I don't watch Raw or SmackDown anymore. I only sign up to the WWE Network when they go, "Hey, we miss you. Have a month for free.
Yeah.
Watch this pay-per-view," and I'm like, "Yeah, cancel." And then after I've watched it, I'm like, "Yeah."
But that's it.
Yeah.
I can't watch Raw on the network.
Yeah, I know. We've said
Because
this before. It's a
it's
stupid
on a
licensing agreement that
yeah.
they have with a cable network television show.
That's why I just
company in America.
That's why I just watch matches. A couple of days ago, I was watching D-Generation X versus the McMahons at SummerSlam 2006.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I was watching Cactus Jack fighting Terry Funk at ECW. I just flitter back and forth. It's something to switch my mind off.
Yeah.
I have also been watching Hawaii Five-0,
Oh,
and it
for
has been
fuck's
pretty
sake.
badass the last couple of episodes. I got to do it every time, man. Every time I'm going to talk about. You ask me what I've been watching. I've been watching Hawaii Five-0.
And everyone else in the audience, this is where you skip forward 4 minutes.
No, because my argument is Hawaii Five-0 has been going for 7 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
7 seasons. Now, I watch TV shows. If they go 1 or 2, that's pretty bad, unless they're coming back for something really, really big.
Okay.
But they never do. A show lasts for 7, 8, almost 10 seasons. That's pretty good.
No, that's just saying that there's a lot of it.
Yeah, and
you can get a
it's
lot of
enjoyable.
shit in.
No, you can, but it depends on what you're into. And I'm into going to Hawaii, hooking it up with Gracie Park, running around with Steve McGarrett and Dano and like shooting some fools. I have the episodes broken down so intricately of what's going to happen. It's brilliant. It's so brilliant. Every season always ends on a cliffhanger. So you just know that everything's going to build up and Steve's going to kick ass. He's going to kick ass. He's going to kick ass. Oh, what's happened?
So how close are you? How close are you to the season finale now?
Oh, there's about 3 or 4 episodes left. Chin.
And is it getting good?
Yes, because Lieutenant Chin, who's part of 5-0, who's played by the Asian actor, I think he was in Angel, one of the lawyers. His dead ex-wife's brother, who was a gang lord that they took down, got killed, and his daughter, who's Chin's niece,
right,
was given to him to take a look after for custody. And she ended up going away with her own family, but then she got kidnapped by some Mexican gang lords.
Okay.
And so Chin had to hand himself over. And it's just like, oh, what's going to happen? They're going to have to go down there with their silenced machine guns, take down like 15, 16 gang lords, It's gonna be badass, man.
Yeah, I believe you, and I believe you. You done?
Yes, I'm done.
Should we
Yes.
should we move on to the news section, Ian?
Well, I do want to talk about some trailers I have been watching, and
Okay.
I'm going to ask your opinion on them.
Okay. Now, you know I avoid trailers as much as possible.
Yes, but I'm going to give you the description of the trailer, and then
Yeah.
you're going to tell me if you think it's interesting or not.
Okay.
Okay? Atomic Blonde, starring Charlize Theron.
I've seen it, like, in a couple of still images and a couple of posters for it. And from what I've seen, I'm just like, at this point in time, not interested.
Why?
Ghost in the Shell's coming out soon. Looks pretty interesting visually.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Blade Runner is coming out, and
Yeah. I look at Atomic Blonde, and it looks like John Wick, but with Charlize Theron.
yeah.
It's like, I'm not dissing Charlize Theron, because she is an amazing actress, but in the trailer I saw, she's got her silence pistol. She comes out the elevator and beats the crap out of like 3 or 4 guys. That's all good, but is it as good as John Wick?
Well, I just actually seen John Wick, and I know since the last podcast I hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
But I finally got around to watching it, and I was amazed, actually. I heard all the good things about it, and I was like, it's time to see if everything everyone has said is true. And it is.
It is. It is.
And the other thing that nobody ever really mentioned to me was how big the cast of the film was. The actor from The Warriors, who does The Warriors come out. He was in the film.
Which character?
He was the cleaner who comes up to the house and takes out all the bodies.
Oh, yeah.
John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo.
Yeah, that
Luigi.
Luigi. Yeah. And what's he? One of the Hellraiser actors. He was from Oz. I've forgotten his name. He was like the lead henchman. And so I was like, wow, there's just all these great supporting actors, along with Keanu Reeves, who actually, he doesn't have to act too much, but he has one scene where he just really that bottled up rage.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like, this character is great, and no wonder it's got a sequel, which now I have to go and see.
It's also the action sequences are so well done.
Yes, they are.
Keanu Reeves puts so much effort into his craft, and this is what brings me back to Atomic Blonde. Is I can see Charlize Theron doing it, but am I being too harsh?
It was her
it's just a
Aeon
female
Flux,
John Wick,
wasn't it?
Yes, with the girl with the hands.
That was
and the
terrible.
hands for the
That
feet.
was so horrible.
Yeah, Aeon Flux.
So
that
you
and
know what?
Ultraviolet coming out.
Charlize Theron movies where she's a super action girl, I don't buy it.
Yeah,
I don't buy it. But when she's playing like a real human character, someone that's more relatable, I find her performances then are almost electric.
Yes,
like Monster.
Fury Road was badass.
Yeah, Fury Road. Yeah,
But,
again, she was. Yeah, people were like, we want her own movie, like spin-off from Mad Max.
Yeah.
Of course, I still liked her in Prometheus.
Yeah, I did as well.
Stupid ending.
I did. Okay, talking about alien sci-fi movies, Life. I did see the Life trailer.
Now,
Jake Gyllenhaal, Ryan Reynolds.
I saw the first 3 seconds of that trailer,
Yeah.
and I was like, I already want to see that. Like, sci-fi, Jake Gyllenhaal, sold.
Yeah.
But for me, I like Jake Gyllenhaal movies. The only one of his movies, out of all his movies that I don't really like, is Jarhead. It's only because it's not my flavour of film.
Jarhead is badass though, pretty badass.
Yeah, I know
pretty
a lot of people like it, but I didn't enjoy it that much. Again, I watched it when I was 17, 18.
You need to watch it again.
I haven't seen it since.
We need to watch it again.
Yeah, but I like a lot of his films, and so yeah. Life. Tell me. Don't tell me too much, Ian, because I am
not
excited
telling you
for this one.
too much. How do I do this without telling you too much? Realistic horror on a space station.
So it's Sunshine.
No, because Sunshine is a sci-fi fantasy where they're traveling on an amazing spaceship towards the sun.
Yeah. Okay.
These guys are on the International Space Station, I believe.
Yeah.
So they're kind of,
and so what? Is it supernatural, or is Jason Voorhees in space?
They come across or get told to pick up a probe that's coming on its way back from Mars.
So it's species.
Yeah, and they get this organism off of it, and the organism starts to evolve. Now, I like the look of this movie mainly, and this might be a bit harsh, mainly because it's not Alien 5.
Okay.
I know Alien Covenant is coming out this year, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but when I saw Life, I was like, oh, now I've got a sci-fi movie to see how it matches up. You know, I've got this kind of original sci-fi movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds, who are both pretty badass.
Yeah, yeah.
Going up against Alien 5 by the same director of Prometheus. And it's starring Danny McBride.
Yeah, I know.
Right, okay. Come on, Alien 5. If you're going to come out, you better come out swinging.
Well, the thing is, Alien 5 is not happening.
Well,
Neil
Alien
Blomkamp-
Covenant. Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
You know, that I've seen the trailer for that as well. If Life is pretty badass,
Yeah.
you know...
It's got to be better than Passengers.
Passengers?
That was the Jennifer Lawrence and Guardians of the Galaxy dude. Forgotten
Chris
his
Pines.
name. No, not Chris Pines.
No, Chris Pines.
Yeah,
that's Star-Lord.
Star-Lord.
Yeah, we'll
you
say
know,
Star-Lord.
they're the only two people awake on the station that's on this massive voyage to another planet.
And Martin Sheen's the android guy at the bar.
Yeah. And, you know, that was...
You watched that?
Yeah.
Was it good?
No.
Ah.
The first 10 minutes were great. I really liked the
I should
setup,
probably Wikipedia it, shouldn't I?
but the film just turned into like, oh, we need to save the ship or we all die. Ending. And I was like, no.
Spoilers? You just completely spoiled Passengers.
No,
for
I'm
the
telling people,
home.
don't waste their time watching it. Like, the film could have gone really deep, really into the situation that they're in and how two characters would come to resolve it.
Yeah.
But the resolve comes from the superficial fact of, oh, the two of us who now hate each other now need to save each other, to save the ship, to save all the people that are asleep, and, oh, well, I guess we don't hate each other that much after all.
Chris Pratt.
Yes, that's it.
I don't get it. See, now I gotta admit,
So you've seen the new Alien
I've
Covenant
seen the new
trailer, of course.
Alien Covenant trailer.
I haven't, and I know you already said it to me, Ian. Xenomorphs, you see them in the trailer.
Oh, they are. It's beautiful. If it keeps up with that all the way through, I mean, not going into too much detail of what it does. Yeah, everything you ever wanted from the Xenomorph. It moves, it screams, it jumps. The rest of it, how do I say this without sounding like a complete dick? Is
it what we've come to expect?
It's predictable.
Yeah, that's what I got from the first trailer. Though.
Spaceship, people on a spaceship, going to a planet, finding an alien ship on the planet, and finding eggs, and the ship becoming infected.
So if they explained the Michael Fassbender, multiple David...
No. My prediction is that the new David is from the company, and the old David is crashed on the planet, and the woman from Prometheus is dead. These people will come down the planet, think it's absolute heaven, decide to terraform it, come across the alien ship, but I believe from guesswork from the trailer, there's other stuff on this planet that has either become infected from the engineer shit on the ship, or has its own way of evolving through human hosts.
Are you excited for the film, Ian?
Yes, but as I just said, if Life is badass,
then Alien
5 has got to come out fucking swinging for me to go.
Can't call it Alien 5.
Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
Alien Covenant.
Because Alien 5 was a thing.
If Alien Covenant comes out swinging, then yeah, it could just trump. My prediction is it's just going to trump Life because it's got a Xenomorph in there.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Life's going to be a bit weak, where it's
It might be strong visually, but Ridley Scott, as I've said in a lot of our reviews, is he is a master at crafting a beautiful shot, frame by frame. I love watching Ridley Scott films.
Yeah, they are beautiful. The trailer for Alien Covenant is beautiful. Just everything around it. Everything in Prometheus was beautiful. It's just the story connecting it.
That is one of his biggest weaknesses. Is whoever's writing his project.
But then it depends on how much time he's spending on this and not on Blade Runner.
True. Well, Blade Runner is... I mean, I just came across a news article where Ridley Scott has already started work on his next project. And it's like...
Calm down, mate.
Exactly.
Shit.
I was like, you know what? Stay with the project all the way to its ending. All the way to promoting it as it's coming out. But, he's a workhorse. He's like, right, next project, what am I on? Which is, it's... Can't argue against that.
It's the nature of the beast. It's the nature of the beast. Right.
So, shall we move on to
on to the news, man.
Well, speaking of Blade Runner, Ian, and I said this, that I was not going to be happy unless Edward James Olmos is in it.
Yeah.
And I think I might have said it before, but he's guaranteed. Guaranteed to be in it. And he's
going to be super old.
He's playing Gaff.
He's going to be super old.
Well, he already was, the old man.
He'll come out in a wheelchair in the rain.
But he said that, he doesn't have as many scenes or as much screen time as he did in the original. But he said that the scene that he does have in this film is still very poignant, despite it only being a small moment.
20 quid bet that Ryan Gosling's character goes to meet Gaff.
In order to find Deckard.
And that's it. That's how big it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you reckon Gaff will tell him? Or not tell him? Or just give him an origami unicorn?
Oh, yeah. He'll just... Yeah, that's it. And then when he unravels the origami unicorn, it'll have... like longitude and latitude of where he is out in the wasteland somewhere.
Yeah. Ian, are you ready for another Fly movie?
Yes.
Yeah? I mean, there's been 4 Fly movies already.
Yes, yeah. And they're all pretty damn good, depending on where you're wanting to come from. 1950s, 1960s.
1958.
With Vincent Price.
That's right, yeah. And then...
I do like the ending for that one.
It's great. I absolutely love the 1986 version of The Fly.
Fly and The Fly 2 are awesome.
Yeah, you like The Fly 2 as well?
I like The Fly 2 because the gore effects completely wash over the storyline. And Eric Stoltz, I believe it is.
Yeah, it was.
Eric Stoltz is...
He did a good job.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, I thought the creature effects were really good in The Fly 2 as well. I always remember the dog that came out and they kept it. And when they were feeding it, oh my God.
I'll give you 2 more memories. There's a security guard who gets acid spat in his face.
Is that in the elevator? The elevator head crush?
No, and there's another one of a guy who gets trapped on the elevator and the fly brings the elevator down on his head.
Yes, some gruesome, awesome moments, but still.
The Fly one, Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis. I think that's where my crush for Gina Davis came through in this movie.
Could be,
because
easily,
she was fucking Goldblum a lot. Well, in the film wise, I don't know if she was doing it in real life.
Nah. But it seems like a new Fly movie is going to be in the works. Director J.D. Dillard, who just had quite a bit of success in Sundance Film Festival with a film called Slight. And it was an action drama.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen it myself, but I'm hearing good things about the director, and it's been quite a while since the last Fly movie. I hope they do all prosthetic effects. I hope they tell another human story, and it'll be interesting to see it more modern day. I mean, Splice was sort of an interesting modern day adaptation about basically breaking down DNA and creating something else, like with human DNA and animal DNA.
Make a female, male fucking.
But would you rather that sort of story, or would you prefer more Fly 2?
I want the Fly again.
You want the Fly again?
I want him to be. I want him making teleporters that work, and then one day a Fly accidentally gets in there and he mutates.
Well, because the Fly remake is, as I've just said it. Then it's one of the rare exceptions where a remake actually was as good, if not better, than the original
thing.
Yeah, the Thing. So
that's why I put the Fly and the Thing together, because they were remakes of 50s movies, and it works. It works to a point, well, I'd say it's to a point if the other movie was a classic, like for example, The Thing 2011. Some people say isn't as good as John Carpenter's. And yeah, that's it's true.
Yeah.
With The Fly, Cronenberg's was Cronenberg's.
It was his own style.
So this next film doesn't even have to. It doesn't even have to try to be Cronenberg,
because it can be.
Yeah, without just being classic 1950s Fly movie. As long as you don't put too much attempts at trying to replicate Cronenberg's work with music and zoom-ins.
Yeah.
We just want to see people get eaten. Spit that acid on the.
I want to see the gruesome transformation. I want to see body parts falling off, and I want to see him spit acid on people and use that weird straw-like thing that flies have to suck up their food.
Yeah,
it's gross.
Gross.
Ian, are you ready for another Matrix movie? Can you believe it? They're
That-
contemplating another Matrix movie. Well, the thing is, another Matrix project looks like it's going to go ahead with or without the Wachowskis.
You know, it is doable.
Yeah.
It's doable if you set it again in the Matrix universe
Well, they don't know
with
yet.
with Neo and Zion known, but as a completely it's over there entity.
What do you mean?
You just follow a guy on one of those hover ships, you know, dealing with his crew and having to go inside the Matrix and
do
fight
missions
people
and do
missions
things.
and shit like that. You could even turn it into a fucking TV series. If you
Well,
really wanted
that's
to.
what I was going to say. Right now, they don't know whether it's going to be a fourth movie in the series, whether it's going to be a reboot so that they can turn it into a franchise.
Don't reboot it.
Or develop it for the silver screen and make a TV series out of it. Keanu Reeves said he's not going to come back to do it unless the Wachowskis are involved. So,
Well, you have.
and the film studios have pretty much said we'd like the Wachowskis' blessing to go ahead with it, but we're going to go ahead with it.
Isn't one of the Wachowskis a woman now?
Yeah,
So it
it's
wouldn't be the
now
Wachowski.
Lana and Lily, is it?
Yeah.
I
I'm just going to say yes to you, agree with you, like I know. So maybe she's not in it, or her's not in it. Did they direct all three of the Matrix
They did,
movies?
yeah.
They did.
Yeah. And then, like I said,
So their story's complete. That's what I mean. Their story's complete. Their whole story was Zion and Neo and just.
but it is
you know, it's
open
done.
at the end. I
It-
mean,
it
most
is
of the
open,
characters
so now
are...
so now you can carry on without Keanu Reeves. You don't need to bring Keanu Reeves back.
No.
You could actually start with just.
I'd be happy if Keanu Reeves carry on making John Wick movies.
Yeah, what you do is actually you start it off with the close up of the ship, you know,
Yeah.
and you're dealing with the crew, and it builds up. If it's a TV series, it builds up to like 3 or 4 episodes where you think you're following this kid, and he might be the one,
Right.
but then he'll die,
Okay.
and it's actually the captain of the ship, who's a 6-foot black woman,
Okay.
and can wear dual swords. It's-
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the Matrix trilogy, I loved the first film. The second one I got really bored, and the third one I just thought was just generic guns action. It was silly. I didn't get anything that. It was nothing special like the first one was.
It's a trilogy. It's the Curse of Trilogy.
Yeah, but I never even considered it open for more stories. Despite the fact that, of course, all the games that came out, the way that it helped shape society, where everyone was walking around in large black trench coats and sunglasses.
Yeah, maybe that wasn't such a good idea.
No.
Yeah.
But is it going to bring that back, do you think?
Possibly.
So, next up in the news, Ian, we kind of, the last podcast we recorded the very next day.
Oh, when are you going to bring this up now?
I got to bring it up because we haven't had a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it then.
Yeah, I'm guessing most people are going to know this, but actor, director Bill Paxton passed away at the age of 61. And as I said, we recorded
crushed me.
Yeah, totally. You sent me the message. You were the one who broke the news to me, and then I was it. I was in the middle of a conversation with somebody else, and that conversation ended. I was like, I'm sorry, like, I'm totally bummed out.
Yeah.
Like, I am just
totally bummed. It was the worst thing, and it's. I don't even think have they had the funeral. Yeah, they probably have had the funeral by the time the podcast goes out. But it's the fact it was complications through surgery.
Yeah.
Did he have a chest burster?
I fucking hope not.
And I'm just spitballing,
Him and James Cameron spent a lot of time underwater.
That's it. I could not look at a Bill Paxton movie for like 3 days.
Yeah,
I tried to, and every time I looked,
you were like, oh, we should review a Bill Paxton movie to celebrate him, and I was just like, dude, I don't want to do that. Like, I'll think of a film, but I don't want to do that right now. I just can't think.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think. I don't even want to watch a Bill Paxton movie. Sometimes when an actor that influenced my childhood, like when Egon passed away.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, I was so bummed out when Rick Mail passed away.
Dude, you're bumming me out
I'm
now.
sorry.
What the fuck?
And then of course we missed it as well. The last time we recorded a podcast, it was John Hurt.
Oh,
From
God.
Alien, and then a month later we lose somebody from Aliens. I was like, who's next from Alien 3?
You're talking about getting bummed out. I was talking to somebody about an upcoming podcast about an upcoming episode that should be out by this point.
Okay.
And I found out that Pete Postlethwaite was dead.
He died a while ago.
I know.
Yeah.
I totally forgot. I was talking about it to somebody, and they were like, "Yeah, he passed away a while ago." I was like, fuck off. You know, and I went all the way home and I looked up on Wikipedia and Google, and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no. When he passed away, I went and rewatched Dragonheart because he was the scribe that followed him around the whole movie.
Dragonheart's a good movie.
Yeah.
See, yeah, Bill Paxton. Oh, I looked at Aliens. I looked at Near Dark. I watched Twister.
You watched Twister. I remember you
Twister,
Facebooked
and
it.
it is fucking awesome. And
yeah,
it's even
I remember
more
seeing
heartbreaking.
Twister in the cinema. Just you loved it.
Yeah,
yeah. You know, I'd watch any movie with Bill Paxton in it. Although there are still some films of his that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I think it's A Simple Plan with what's his face? Sling Blade.
It's one of the ones I haven't seen as well.
I was having sex with Angelina Jolie. What's
Oh, Billy Bob Thornton?
Billy Bob Thornton, that's it, yeah.
How did I get that?
Sling Blade.
So yeah, he did Weird Science.
Ah, I love Weird Science.
Yeah, Predator 2.
Yeah, love Predator 2.
Tombstone.
Love Tombstone.
Apollo 13.
Love Apollo 13.
The Last Supper.
Haven't seen it yet.
Haywire.
Haven't seen it.
Two Guns.
Well, that's with Denzel Washington and... Oh, yeah, he's the fucking bad guy in that.
And Edge of Tomorrow. He only has a small part in that as well.
Yeah, but he's so vital because he keeps interacting with Tom Cruise.
At the beginning, yeah.
I'm going to cry next time I watch Edge of Tomorrow.
I know.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, Tom Cruise, just keep reliving this day.
Oh, my Tom Cruise. Just give my hug from me.
Man, you know what? I just think it's amazing that both Bill Paxton and James Cameron met working on Roger Corman movies.
Nice.
And that's where they became friends. And that was when Cameron was like, oh, I'm going to make Terminator. You know what? I know you, Bill. Come and play this character for me.
And Bill just turned around to him and went, fuck you, asshole.
Yeah.
He got thrown through the face. I don't think he dies, that punk.
Probably. I don't know.
Unless the Terminator threw him with enough force that he, died
Wasn't he
from
stabbed?
impact. No, because he stabs the Terminator.
Yeah.
Arnie grabs him, throws him against the fence wall, and he falls down.
He probably crushed his face.
And then he punches Shao Kahn through the chest and makes the other guy undress.
Yeah.
And that's what always makes me think, is he that? Because you see that
because everyone goes, oh, he was the guy who's been killed by all of
three of them.
But then I'm like, well, also Lance Henriksen. But then I'm like, but did Lance Henriksen die in Terminator? Because they always talked about him coming back.
Yeah, he got
to play the part in
blasted.
future films.
And did he?
But in a wheelchair.
Was he technically killed by the Queen?
Ripley technically incinerates him in the end. So in Alien 3.
No, she doesn't.
She does.
She unplugs him. She incinerates Ash. Man, you've had too much Jack Daniels.
Probably. No, but she does. Well, she does destroy him because he asks her to destroy him.
Where does she get a flamethrower on a prison planet with no weapons?
Well, they still have
Gary.
fire. They still have plenty of fire.
It's brilliant. There's brilliant people are at home like Gary's fucked up.
Yeah,
doesn't remember Alien 3. She doesn't. She just unplugs him, and then
he does a death gargle.
Yeah, he does death gargle, and then Gollop gets brought into the medical bay.
Yeah,
and he's talking about the dragon.
But I always remember him asking her to destroy him.
No, just unplug me. I'll never be as good as I used to be. Wow, I'm glad I remembered that.
Yeah, I've seen that film a lot as well.
Yeah.
So sad times. So yeah. So
brighten me up. What we got?
Well, there was one film of his that when you asked me which one we were going to do, and I said I'd get back to you because I've forgotten what the name of it was, and it was one of the few films that he actually directed as well as acted in.
Yeah.
Frailty.
Is that the one where he sees demons?
Mm-hmm.
I would keep that.
You will. Of course
it's
you
really
did.
Good. It's really
yes,
good.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's one of the few films of his that I've actually never seen. So,
yeah, I've never seen it either. But obviously, after reading the story, I was just drawn into it without even. I imagined as I was reading it, Bill Paxton was the main character.
Yeah.
But it turns out that he's the father to the main character. So I'm just like, wow, that's even better because, I've imagined it one way and it was really good. So
Yeah.
if I take Bill Paxton out, but he's still in it, it's still going to be really good. Like Predator 2.
So, favorite movie with Bill Paxton?
Man, what?
Let's throw Titanic in there.
He is good in Titanic. I mean, he's good with.
Shall I say mine? My
Sure.
favorite
Yeah,
Bill
you do
Paxton
yours.
performance is Near Dark. You know,
It's pretty damn good.
it's my favorite performance because he has some of the best lines, but it's also because of the chemistry he has with Jeanette Goldstein and Lance Henriksen coming straight off the back of Aliens.
Yeah.
And so he has more screen time in that film than he does some of the others. I like him in Tombstone. I like him in Apollo 13. He's a great integral part of those movies, but playing a vampire and being as over the top as he can be while still being in character, that's it.
I mean, it's so fucking difficult.
Yeah.
Because I watched Twister and he was brilliant in Twister. Him and Helen Hunt worked so well off of each other.
Yeah.
Hudson, he's just that pinnacle point.
Well, the thing
Even
is
in
that
Weird
you can
Science.
remember his character's name in the film says more about aliens than many of the others. Because could you name all of his other named characters other than Thug 2?
No, but he is memorable in that. I mean, it wouldn't be Terminator because it's so short. Predator 2's pretty fucking badass. I don't like him when he gets killed off.
No.
I mean, Tombstone, he's really good, but he gets killed off again in that. Titanic, he's kind of weird because he's not the main guy, but he's vital to the story.
He sort of opens and closes the film in a way.
Yeah, and he holds it. He's able to carry that whole future stuff. So when you saw Bill Paxton, you knew it was in the future. When you saw Leo, you were in the past.
Yeah.
Even Weird Science, playing the badass brother who gets turned into a pile of shit. He plays a good pile of shit. If I had to pick one, though,
you have to pick one.
I'm thinking of Edge of Tomorrow. I'm just gonna make it easy on myself because there's too many. Hudson.
You can say Aliens,
Just gonna Hudson,
Aliens. For
Aliens.
sure. I mean, he's my number 2. He's one of my favorite Aliens characters.
Well, if you watch Aliens for the first time,
He
Hudson's
was the
your
one
favorite
who
character.
he personified wimpy characters that when shit hits the fan, actually pulls through and is worth his salt as a character.
Yeah.
And every other character type like it has been a pale imitation to Hudson. No one has ever been able to encapsulate that character since Aliens.
He did the geeky nerd really well because he's the one who actually runs the bypass.
Yeah.
And looks for the PDTs and shit. So he's the geeky nerd. You've got Michael Biehn, who's obviously the jock. But we want the nerd. Why? Because he knows how to work all this shit. And he's actually being honest. 17 days? We're not going to last 17 hours. Those things are going to come in before. They're going to come in and go hot.
Love it. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of the first part of the podcast, Ian. I need a refill.
Yeah.
And don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be back with part 2, discussing VR. And welcome back to part 2 of Off the Shelf Reviews podcast. And joining us for this section we have Geoff.
Get on.
So VR has kind of had, in my opinion, sort of mixed results from people. And, there's only been a few games that have really made me go, wow, I actually really want to go and play VR. Now, VR, the idea of it, always seemed to me like a pipe dream, something that you'd seen in movies, like Lawnmower Man. And you're like, wow, I want video games to have those graphics. Now, of course, video games are 100 times better than those graphics.
That was at the birth of CDs. That was Lawnmower
Yes,
Man was.
yeah, but it kind of it put the idea forward, and then of course Star Trek, the holodeck. Like, that's like the final phase. Like, even Star Trek hasn't thought of beyond entertainment, beyond the holodeck. That's it. That's the pinnacle of entertainment. So, surely virtual reality is only one step other than complete sensory involvement in a virtual space.
Yeah.
Unless we get to something like The Matrix. So, and so VR, the dream of it, became pretty much a reality when Oculus Rift turned up. And everyone was like, well, what's that? it's a VR headset. And everyone was like, it won't work. 3D, it's a phase, it's a gimmick. And that's still being said today about VR. But it woke everyone up to the idea of it's doable and it's feasible. And then everyone was already guessing it's going to cost too much for the consumer.
Yeah.
Years passed, a lot of money went into it. And then it went to Facebook and to other companies. A lot of people got upset. But then all of a sudden, all the major companies and all the big players were working on their own VR headsets. The Morpheus, the PlayStation VR headset, the Microsoft's, HoloLens,
Yep.
and now the HTC Vive. People were turning their mobile phones and strapping them to their faces. And, probably a large percent of it was people wanting to get as close to their porn as they possibly could. But there are people also developing games and movies that could possibly lead to the next step in how we receive our favourite forms of entertainment.
Yeah. I think the sky is the limit. I think this is the thing, like, VR has been in the public consciousness, like you say, for ages, since the 80s, really. There's the Virtual Boy as well, which was Nintendo. You could say technically Nintendo brought out the first VR.
But those things
headset.
gave us headaches.
They were terrible, yeah.
They were
and
horrible.
it was just
Two
lines
colours,
type thing. But I mean, the
idea,
theory that we would be able to fool our senses completely with, images produced for each eye. Has been around for a long time, and then there's been like kind of arcade VR stuff, which is like quite high tech, more advanced stuff, and you'd have them at like different treadmill things, like that was all kind of like sort of high tech advanced show stuff. Do you know what I mean? That a corporation would buy, and there would be like specialists, hardware and stuff doing it. And you'd have to have big money to get into it. So Oculus really is the first attempt to bring that kind of technology to the home market, you would say.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Oculus was first, because when Steam came out, they'd obviously been working on it for quite some time as well, but maybe it was the success of the Kickstarter of Oculus that brought Steam to go, yes, let's do that as well, and they kicked it off really quickly.
Do you think the other companies, as soon as they saw how much attention and how much money was raised from the public for VR, encouraged them to start developing their own, or do you think that they were already sort of working on their own to begin with?
I think there's undoubtedly some bandwagoning going on. No doubt about it. But then why wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? Like, everybody's been looking for the next new tech. They came out with 3D TVs and everybody was like, yeah, meh. So virtual reality is within our grasp. We're getting the processing technology within our grasp, within affordable range, to be able to do an image that's going to be that close to the eyes, that's going to be good enough to fool the eye.
See, they need to make Half-Life 3.
So we're only just getting to that point now, and we still are like, you've got to have quite good money for a graphics card that's going to be able to run it. And I would say that the Oculus and the Steam, because they've already talked about 4K headsets. There's one come out to the market already from like a Chinese company, and already that's got rid of the screen door effect. So already we can envision, and it's only just out for 5 minutes, and already we can improve it this way. So it's such a young technology, but I would say it is here to stay, and it is here in a big way, and it has captured the public's imagination. The overall the mindset of humanity is now including VR as a technology. And the things that we can do with VR, we're just beginning to explore. And I think it's got so many uses and so many applications, because it's just a virtual reality. And we live so much of our life understanding the world through models and simulations.
Yeah.
And that's become so much of a part of modern day life, that to be able to experience, for instance, one demo that I've downloaded from Steam straight away was one where you get kind of a virtual tour of the body.
Okay.
And it was just like a kind of GCSE, or grade school level of understanding of biology.
Yeah.
But it was so cool to be on a cell floating through someone's bloodstream.
Nice.
Do you know what I mean? The what really was there was really vivid and comes alive. So it's got so many applications for education, gaming, design, medical like training. You know, I've seen you know, like people training firemen with a hose that's just got like an attachment on it, and they use all the contraptions and that, but it just simulates water being out of a jet, and they have like a big flaming inferno in simulation.
Yeah.
And they work out how to, you know, they do the training on how to put the fire out.
That's pretty badass.
So, yeah, like its applications are serious as well as fun, and you know, like it's been in sci-fi now. People have been thinking about it for a very long time, and it's finally here. And so people's imaginations, they've been probably pent up, and it's like I think that, you know, we're just at the beginning of a bulge of a wave. Do you know what I mean? That is, we're about, it's gonna, in the next few, like over 20 years or so, is really gonna like overtake us and crash over, I think.
Now, my first experience putting on the VR headset was an Oculus Rift, and the first game that I was put into was a mountain climbing game.
Yeah.
And the mountain that they chose for me, I literally only lasted about 20 seconds in the headset because it tricked me. I have a natural fear of heights. And when I put the headset on and I was that high off the mountain, and you just got like a small mesh platform that you're standing on.
Yeah.
I freaked out and I instantly panicked and started sweating. It was surreal. My body instantly convulsed. I wanted to lay down on the floor, but I was too afraid to lay down on the floor because the platform in my virtual space was too small.
Yeah.
And so
it's crazy.
It is really crazy.
The mind is fooled, isn't it?
Totally fooled. And you know, graphically, it was a step back from current generation graphics. It wasn't anything too spectacular. But it was still enough. The perspective.
That's it. It's just good enough.
Yeah.
And like I spent it is fucking expensive.
How
like
much?
It is. We are absolutely at the beginning. It was like 750 quid for me, and then the other bits and pieces I needed to get, like software and you know, things to support it. Like I needed new cables and things like that. So there's a few other bits and pieces as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money for what it is, and already like you can envision it being better. The graphics could be better because like they say like the jaggies you get, you know, you feel like you wish you could get some super duper anti-aliasing working because it has really bad jaggies. Mind you, I don't. You can get rid of some of them with super scaling and stuff, but you get a screen door effect as well where the pixels are not quite dense enough.
Right.
And you get this on both Oculus and the Vive. I don't know about I think the 4K screens, the ones that are density of 4K pixels, they are not exhibiting screen door effect. So, but none of those are the mainstream players really with the motion technology in it as well. But Oculus and Vive are obviously the two main ones, and so is the PlayStation. In fact, PlayStation is the biggest selling.
Yeah.
The PlayStation VR headset is the cheapest one.
That was what I was saying earlier about there's not that many games available in virtual reality right now that makes me go, ooh, I feel like I will get the best experience playing that in VR. There's only one game right now that I can say that it was built for its entirety having VR experience in mind. And that is Resident Evil Biohazard, Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
A lot of games have converters which enable you to then play them in virtual reality when they were not built with virtual reality in mind.
There's a piece of software called Vorpex you can use, which will try and do like a kind of stereoscopic rendering of various different games.
And I know we had experience playing Alien Isolation because since you got that, Geoff, I was like, please, Geoff, I want to stand next to the xenomorph.
Yeah.
I want to see the xenomorph put its tail through my ribcage.
Yeah.
I want to see its inner jaw rip my face off. I want to be right next to this fucking alien.
Yeah.
Like it's my nightmare. It's my favorite creature, and I wanted to see it in the virtual reality. And it took a fair few hours of optimization and tweaking to try and get the visual aspects right, and then also to not make you feel sick as a dog moving around when you feel weightless.
Yeah.
And you get it's described as motion sickness.
It's like, it's not designed for VR, and you just sort of skate around at a level which you're very used to when you're looking through a screen, but your head doesn't move that way, and it's not a natural movement. You're just sort of flying around like that, and it's
You feel like
you've
like
got
an
no-
assassin is turned up behind you and cricks your neck. That's how it feels.
And because
in your
your
head.
because your eyes are receiving information that you're moving, but your inner ear is not receiving that, and your body's not feeling any of that. That lack of correlation between your mind and the body triggers something in your mind which says, "Oh, this isn't right, and
This is not
I
right.
think I must be poisoned." And you start going through a sort of sense of feeling nauseous and sick, and like
Yeah.
lightheaded, like you might get a headache. It's basically motion sickness, but like a
Without-
reverse of it. Because motion sickness is you're feeling movement, but your eyes can't
But it's
see
like-
the movement that you.
But it's like being in a car.
But it's the other way around.
Your body's telling you that you're moving at a fast speed.
Well, it's the other way
Yeah,
around.
your
Your
body's
eyes
not
are
moving.
telling you that you're
Yeah.
moving, but your body's not. So it's a very similar kind of feeling, but it's not quite the same. But it does feel very unusual, and the way that the rendering works on the Alien Isolation through the vortex, it's not quite right as well, is it? You can't really like move your head properly. It's not proper one-to-one movement. You've got no sense of presence in the game because you're just using a controller and sort of moving around very quite a fast pace as well, like faster
Yeah.
than you would normally actually move.
Yeah.
So the kind of lack of real sense of presence, it really fucks with your mind. So it's not that comfortable to do. But there are other games which you can play, which it's much more actually built from the ground up as a VR game, and you don't get any of that sense of sickness in those, do you?
No, that's correct. There was a game that I've quite enjoyed called Arizona Sunshine, which is a narratively driven. I'm going to say weakly narratively driven.
Yeah.
The protagonist of the game has sort of an inner monologue, and he talks out loud to the zombies, and it's kind of humorous in its nature.
Okay.
It's funny. It's funny.
It is quite funny but it put me in a zombie apocalypse in a VR experience. I have guns strapped to my waist. I have grenades strapped to my chest. I've got an ammo belt. You know, I can pick up food in the world, and I have to hold it up to my mouth, and then my character starts eating it. And that's how you restore your health. You look at your watch.
Yeah.
When you literally do the look at your watch movement in real life to look at your hand
Yeah.
in the game. You know, and that concept. But the thing is, like, it comes naturally, and the game just
How do
naturally
you move
responds.
around the map though?
Now, there's two ways to move around in VR. One less sick-inducing than the other.
Yeah.
Now, the easiest way for new people to play in VR would be to use one of the motion pads, and basically you press down on it, and like a cursor will appear on the floor with an arrow indicating this is where you're going to land and face.
Yeah.
And once you do it, the screen sort of blinks, and then you appear where you
Like a
selected.
portal gun.
Yeah.
Like a portal gun.
You like laser point and teleport.
Yeah.
The other option is to, when you're moving your thumb around the directions, basically, you'll float in that direction. But that, again, can give you that exact same motion sickness that I experienced in Alien Isolation, where your body's moving, or your eyes are telling you you're moving, where your
body's
feet
not.
haven't
Yeah.
left the
The
ground.
teleport would be a lot better.
And so, but the thing is, you can also strafe. You know, you can move at diagonal lines and move at speeds that you probably can't achieve in real life, and it can make you feel nauseous. And I enjoyed that movement playing the zombie game, because with one thumb I was just controlling, and with the other hand I was just popping headshots, just sliding past zombies like, you can't get me, I'm just sliding everywhere. Compared to point, click, jump, blink, move, point, click, jump, move. Like, it's stilted and it's slow, and the zombies can get all around you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, the more you play VR, the more, you know, in the smaller intervals that you begin with, you find that the more you keep playing it, the longer you spend with the headset on,
The longer you
and the
convince your
longer
mind
it
that you're
takes you to
playing.
actually feel sick, to the
Yeah.
point where you stop feeling sick altogether because your brain has now
Adjusted.
adapted
Yeah.
to this
Yeah.
technology. And that is it's a weird phase, because no other piece of technology have we ever had to condition our bodies in order to be able to interface with it
Yeah.
in an enjoyable way.
I don't know, the GameCube controller.
Oh, fuck yeah.
That was a...
I still hate that
Yeah.
controller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
N64 was not that easy to use either, was it?
You
Now-
picked it up quite easy.
The other thing we'll
Going
probably
back
we'll,
to it is
we'll come
crazy.
back to games soon, but I tried watching a film with the VR headset on. It was The Finest Hour, which was a Disney film about the Coast Guard rescue.
Okay.
It's not a great film, but it's fun. I like disaster films at sea.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
had some good actors in it. Ben Affleck's
Were you
brother.
in the film?
No, it
Or
wasn't.
were you in the audience watching the film?
It was like home theatre, where my TV screen was the size of a theatre. So it was like my own personal cinema,
Right, okay.
where I literally had to, look around and crane my neck to see the whole screen. But, and then I shrunk it down and got it to a reasonable size and got comfortable. And then after about half an hour, I was like, I want a drink. And clunk off the headset. I can't.
Need a straw.
It's getting, yeah, you definitely need a straw. But I got uncomfortable with the headset on after a while. I was like, I just want to take off and I'm going to go and lay down comfortably and then watch the film. I couldn't engross myself in it. But since then, I've looked it up and checked, and people are enjoying 3D movies in virtual reality, because the VR goggles are 3D headsets as well.
Yeah.
So Avatar, you can watch Avatar in 3D in virtual reality. That is better than the cinema experience.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
And there is free conversion software. You buy the Blu-ray, you buy it digitally, download it illegally. You can convert the files into 3D in a format that's suitable for Oculus, for the Vive, and enjoy movies in 3D. And that for me is very exciting.
Yeah, but you are talking about what? How much for a headset? 700 quid? 1400?
Yeah.
750 for the Vive. You can get the Oculus, which is just the
2800 for a family of four
Just
to watch Avatar in 3D.
Well, hang on.
VR.
Yeah, but hang on a minute. If you just want to watch movies, then you can get cheaper headsets.
You don't want to just watch movies, do you? You want to watch movies
Wow.
and play games. And at the moment,
I mean,
the
you
best
can't
game
speak
we've
for
got
everybody,
going
but
is
yeah,
Resident
most people.
Evil 7.
And that's only if you have a PlayStation.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
Christmas. I'm putting a line at Christmas. If by Christmas,
There are a lot of good games in VR.
if by Christmas there's not that one game to own VR and everyone's off playing something else, it's a dust collector. It's a fad. It's a very good fad, but it's also a very uncomfortable, disorientating.
Now that's the thing.
Fad.
But as Geoff already said earlier, the next steps in headsets are already coming, where they're getting better resolutions and they're going to get lighter and they're going to get smaller.
And the games are getting
Better.
good.
Absolutely,
We
because
need that
developers
one game.
do need time in order to create these environments and these worlds.
They've
And
got it right
almost
there.
every
They've got-
game, to be honest, almost every game that I've experienced with Geoff in the collection of games that we've had have all been parts of work that's still being worked on. It's episode
And
one
a lot of
of
early
bigger
access stuff,
pictures.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of it's early access stuff, and so we're seeing what people are learning to do, and it seems like a lot of game developers for VR are all in the same boat right now and giving you the same sort of interactable objects to work with, because the novelty of having chalk and drawing a knob on the blackboard or shooting fireworks into the sky. It's fun. That's your introduction into how VR is going to work.
See, now that's why I say Half-Life 3. Half-Life 3 would be the most amazing VR game ever, and it's
I would
just
say
there
Left
on
4 Dead
standby.
3, but at the same time, the headset needs to be comfortable enough. I need to not be feeling sick, and I need it to facilitate VR, but also at the same time.
You're always going to get that. You're
But
fooling your
You
body.
got-
so
you got-
what are we
you
gonna
got to
say
think
with
at the
games?
moment, right? VR is so new that all that you've got really on the market is it's flooded with stuff from indie developers that is early access stuff, right? But the big publishers, the big names, like you just so happen to have had Resident Evil out fairly quickly from a big publisher, and that's a fairly short game. So, you know, like say the next Fallout comes out from Bethesda, and that's
They
a
have
full
said
VR.
that it's going to be VR, and I
Yeah.
have said that when that is out,
That
that
would be
is when
so-
I go back to Fallout, because I found Fallout boring. I loved Fallout 3. I absolutely loved that game. That changed the landscape of games for me.
You would
Maybe
love
too.
Serious Sam played in VR as well.
I
That's a full game.
see. I need to play that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Serious
I
Sam
need
in
to play
VR,
that.
you know.
Mate,
it's-
you would just love it. It's fucking brilliant.
I
Having
need to
just
play
two
that.
massive
Now,
guns
again,
in
it
each
is-
hand.
It is a great simulator. It is a great gun simulator. The amount
Yeah,
of
yeah.
different
How do you move
games
with
in
him?
VR that all
Just
have
you,
guns.
you will get sick at playing Serious.
It's Serious 6 Sam.
It is
Serious Sam.
you
Serious
fly
6
around,
Sam.
mate. You move around really fast with your thumb on the
Fuck it!
thumb on the
Fuck
trackpad.
it! Fuck it!
But
Keep
you-
shooting!
Yeah, exactly, mate. You will be. You just forget about it until you're like you've got to the end of the level, and then you take the headset off and you lie on the floor because you're like, oh my fucking god.
I will say one of my
Lie on the floor.
one of my
You do,
favorite VR gaming experiences at the moment has been keep talking and nobody dies? No, nobody explodes.
Yeah.
It's the bomb deactivating game.
Yeah.
Where somebody's got the VR headset on. A 5-minute timer usually starts on the bomb, which
Yeah.
only the person can see, and they have to describe the components of the bomb to somebody who sat there with a fucking 4,000 page manual with
Looking
all of
through
the
for the
answers,
instructions.
and then you're going, how many wires are there? 7. How many red wires? 3. How many blue wires? If is the blue wire the bottom wire? No.
Yeah.
Oh, is there a white wire? Yeah. Cut the white wire.
Yeah.
But it beeped. It's like, oh shit, you've got 2 lives left. 2
shit.
more mistakes and the bomb explodes.
Yeah.
It's like serial numbers,
Yeah.
color recognitions
So
and
tense.
patterns, Morse code, Morse fucking code. But it is
Yeah.
great. It is intense, and you know, it's short little interval games, but they're fun party games.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I'm looking for is
That
the
one
long
game.
haul,
Yeah.
the game where I sit there for hours. Now, my best guess for VR in the short term, like most immediate, to get a lot of people buying it, for me, it's going to be cockpit on the rails experiences,
Yeah.
like racing games
Yeah.
and like spaceship games.
Like
Now, Star Citizen is on the horizon. Is it still, Geoff?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that game in a VR setting where you're in a cockpit in a spaceship, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
That
Well, you can already play
But
Elite
you-
Dangerous.
Yes,
In
yeah.
in VR, that is a full-fledged AAA VR title as well. So I've been very tempted to get that because it's only £20 on Steam as well.
wow.
So I might get it because and I as I understand, Elite Dangerous has come along quite a lot as well because obviously it's very early out. It's not quite anything of the scale and ambition of Star Citizen, but it's still a pretty good space game. And VR space game like that, because anything where you're seated
Yeah.
with like a joystick, because I've actually got a flight stick as well, so it'll feel very authentic, and because you won't really like that'll be very comfortable to sit in as
you're
well.
not going to. Yeah,
But
you're still
It's,
going to
it's
feel
not, not quite like the racing games where you're not feeling the bumps that your brain sees.
Don't you have to go back
makes you
and-
feel a bit
and
ill.
buy
But in a
stuff?
spaceship would be nice and smooth.
Then you have to go into space stations and stuff and still move around.
I mean, you do have a small element of it, yeah, but obviously the majority of the game is where you're sat. in the
Yeah,
cockpit,
yeah. I'm
so-
just obviously thinking about motion sickness again. You know, you're flying around like, "Whoa, this is absolutely awesome!" And then as soon as you land and go on to buy some upgraded weapons, you're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, I mean,
Gravity. Oh.
like I said, you will get more and more used to it, and it's one of those things where it depends. It varies an awful lot from game to game. A lot of it is about how fast you're moving. I think one of the most intensive, sickening experiences is Dirt Rally, because you're on a plane going really fast and with loads of bumps and stuff. And if you're a driver, in your mind, you're like, oh my god, these would be bumps I would be managing and having to manage and deal with, and there's no, you've got feedback coming through the wheel, but your mind is not. Your stomach's not going up and down with the bumps. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but you're
yeah.
sort of expecting it to happen.
Yeah.
And the brain is seeing it happen. And by the time you get to the end of like a dirt rally track, I just like, oh my god, yeah, it's like I'm sweaty. It makes you sweat profusely as well because your brain is like, oh, I'm poisoned. What's going on? I'm not. I'm hallucinating.
Yeah.
That's what it's.
You're
sort
like,
of,
no,
it's,
no.
that's what it's thinking. It's a bit like when you are really drunk and perhaps a little mashed.
Possibly.
And you lie down on the bed.
Yeah.
And your head starts going like.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that.
And you
feeling.
start swimming, but
Yeah.
you're not moving. You're just led completely still. It's a bit like that. It's like that point where your brain goes. Because at that point, you're going to have to get up and throw up, aren't you? Because that's where you're like, I am actually poisoned by alcohol. I'm going to spew it all up. So yeah,
So VR,
it's
what
very
you're
similar to
saying,
that
some
feeling.
VR games poison your mind into thinking that you should throw up.
It does trick your mind into
That's
thinking it's
some
been
good
poisoned.
selling.
Yeah,
That's good selling point. Yeah.
But you will get used to it because it's not quite the same. So there's enough in there for your brain to eventually get used to it and understand that it's not poisoned. It is just
Playing a game.
Yeah, it's just an illusion. But it's good, isn't it? It's good.
It's a good illusion.
It is a good illusion.
Yeah,
Expensive
again,
illusion.
One of my most memorable VR experiences was a short demo. It was like a Steam freebie, and it was just they were just tech demos, and they just put you in different environments. The first one, you were put into an animated world, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I might just close this down right now.
Yeah.
There's bunny rabbits skipping around in front of me and a fox. And I was like, I'm tripping out, man. I'm in a fucking Disney forest of Wonderland. And then it fades out. And I'm like, all right, where is it going to take me next? And then it puts you on, like, Mars. And there's, like, a weird alien creature right in front of you. And there's a spaceship floating around. And you're like, okay, this is really cool. The alien animation's really sweet. So, okay, that's fun. Okay, I might stick around and see where the next one is. And the next one loads up, and you're in, like, a massive hangar. And I was like, okay, what's this? Right, that's fine, I'm bored. And then you hear... Okay, this is quite intense.
Okay.
Like, I can audibly feel the vibrations in my body from the sound.
Yeah.
And then down in the distance, a motherfucking T-Rex steps round the corner and makes its way all the way up to you. And it's literally, its nose finishes right in front of your nose. Like, it's face to fucking face.
Yeah.
And then it opens its mouth and it does the Jurassic Park T-Rex roar in your face.
Nice.
And then picks itself up and then walks right over you and walks right past you. I was stunned. Like, I was petrified. Like, I couldn't believe the animation, the detail, the scale, the animation. It was just brilliant. Just amazing.
Yeah.
And so as soon as we got the VR, I remember saying, Geoff, I want to see sharks in VR. I want to I want to go in the cage underwater. Yeah. And that is why, other than the games, I've been looking at VR videos and VR films just to see how they work and is it going to change films as we receive them? Are we no longer going to watch films in the cinema, but are we going to watch new releases in virtual reality?
Yeah.
And are filmmakers going to develop films for virtual reality? Are we going to see Ridley Scott make Alien 7 in VR?
Yeah, how would you?
Now that's the thing. Now cameras are still being developed right now in order to film VR sequences.
Yeah.
Where a lot of videos that are out there, either the aspect ratio is not right, either it sort of gets distorted at the top and the bottom, or there's a weird sort of black strip that's sort of, so it's not completely, you're not completely immersive.
It's not fully 360. It's like
350.
Or
340.
320 or something. Yeah.
Yeah. But there has been a lot of 3D VR experiences that are just video that have been incredibly immersive, like that T-Rex sequence. But granted, the camera is in a fixed position. It's not moving anywhere.
Yeah.
You can't move. If you step forward, you're not going to move anywhere. But you can look around. Now, there's a lot of, 360 panoramic videos just available to watch like on a YouTube screen.
Yeah.
Where you use your mouse cursor to move the image around in order to look at the whole video. But in the VR sense, you get to move around and look around. Now, if you were to shoot a whole film that way, it would be an absolute nightmare for the directors and for all the people making it, because you would need all the extras. You wouldn't be like, oh, you're off camera here, that's offset.
Yeah.
The whole thing needs to be the set. Unless it's all green screened or it's all fake.
Well, unless they did like specific scenes.
But you then
for
have to
DVD.
digitally then remove all the cast and crew and redo everything. And the other thing is when you have action, what if the person in the VR headset looking over something in the corner and is missing what the filmmaker is trying to show? And it also takes away the art of filmmaking when directors choose the lenses of their cameras to compose and create the shots that encapsulate what they're trying to say. Whereas in VR, they can't do that. They have to film the whole thing from one angle or one perspective, which you can look around at. Yes, it's totally more immersive because you place yourself in that situation. But as an art form, looking at it as a film, you cannot see what they have tried to craft, because every time you watch it, you'll be looking at something different entirely. You will miss key moments.
All of these things have got a place in the market. Do you know what I mean? Like, and this is the thing. Like we were saying about sort of AAA games, space games, that sort of thing. All these, when I say we're at the beginnings of a crest of a wave of ideas and innovation about what we can do with VR, we really are. Just like, there's so much. Like, my mind, when I really think about the potential of it, is huge. But I mean, like for movies and stuff like that, it's a completely different mindset. You have to think of it more like theatre, I would think. You know, like a kind of a theatre play where you're playing around a camera or a series of cameras that are, seeing everything. So you have to have the whole set needs to be from beginning to end. It has to be, there's no like side of it which you can have a way where you've got people behind the scene. Like everything in the scene has to be the actors in the set. And it's like also like with the fact that when we use like flat screens, you've got a very strict control on perspective, like, and that means you can direct narrative with that control of perspective. Like you say, you have to like explore the way a narrative plays out in an entirely different kind of way. And I mean, if you're watching, say, a VR movie, you've got to assume that people can kind of like move backwards and forwards through time through it, even, like fast forward and rewind, and spend time examining things, like looking around the room, seeing what's going on. Like you watch a movie 10 times over and notice more and more tiny little details. You think about how many details you can fit into a room where you've got a full 360 of design going into it.
It may be the beer talking, right? But while you were talking, then all I could think about was, do you remember the original Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
How they recorded digital characters, then placed them in the game.
Yeah.
Well, why don't they just get like GoPro cameras and record whole sets, like you said, like a theatre of a game, acting out maybe point and click motions where you move up the characters and interact them with the speech bubbles that you would control with the joypads. You know? You're inside the VR. You're inside the VR headset.
But you don't sound like you're making
sense. You're in the VR
again.
headset, and the game is like a point and click adventure, but using
so you're talking about a game, but with real people,
real live action people. And that's what made me think about the original Mortal Kombat, where how far we've come with technology, where now you could use VR to interact with real people, recorded through previous scenes, and play to you through the game.
Yeah, but there's too many possibilities. Like, if you're going to move throughout the world, You know, like if you're having a movie, you're stuck at the position of the camera. If you're in a virtual world, you move around where you want.
No, your character, like I said, your character would move through the world at predetermined points.
Yeah.
And at those points, you would have to interact with the characters and decide on your.
I think in a game it's fine, and animated characters are looking more lifelike anyway. Yeah. But I think you were saying, Geoff, in a film sense, you don't want to move the camera. You don't want the entity that is you to move in a film world, because you can't. Because you would have to have the camera at multiple points whilst filming the exact same scene, and you just can't do that.
Have any of us seen Hardcore Henry yet?
I haven't seen Hardcore Henry yet.
After we see Hardcore Henry, then we add the VR IMAX headset to it, and see where you can go from there.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's the sort of thing that would work where you are from that perspective. Like, you know, instead of having the eye view, whereas everything is eye view. But even then, I think it's very, very difficult to do, because I mean that, like, Henry, whatever it's called, Hardcore Henry.
Yeah,
you know,
it's all a POV movie.
The reason it works is because all the action is in a very strict space, and you can do like all this kind of like crazy martial arts and stunts by, you know, very quick flashes out the way of the camera moving out the way and stuff like that. You can't do that if the control over where that perspective is in the person's hands. So these kind of like high action stunts and stuff, they become so much harder to do, because you can see every little trick. You know, like you can't use the camera to hide the tricks that you do to stop. You know, which is the difference between it being a stunt and no one getting hurt, and somebody actually splatting on the deck. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now there was a demo that, you know, in all the video stuff that I've seen with real actors or real people in video form, it's kind of been like, yeah, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
But there was an Unreal Engine sort of tech demo video that was in this sort of, there was a tree that was burning, and there was a female character that was getting really emotional and shouting this dialogue, and the camera sort of moves around her.
Okay.
And I was just like, you know what? Wow, I'm already intrigued enough to want to know more about this character, because I can my camera's floating around you, but I can see all of you physically. You look like an entity that I literally want to put my hand on your shoulder and say it's going to be okay.
Yeah. I
like how immersive it is, and I could only imagine sort of maybe watching like Aliens, and when all the Marines are waking up, you could be stood there and just looking down and seeing the perspective of them all. Imagine going into the nest with Ripley and just being stood there and seeing all the eggs, you know. So even if it's a film that's just crafted as a film would, as a director would, and you just have that fixed perspective, but the next step beyond 3D, that for me is the way I would like to see my movies in the future.
You have to think, I think, think like across all the genres. You have to think like theatre, because that is like live action, and it's very similar to live action stuff that would be going on.
Okay.
So it's or almost like you know, like the kind of where you use professional actors in like a whodunit or something like that, where you are, you know, like in reality, where you are just a kind of a fly on the wall or a tag along in an acted scene. So you've got to kind of bring that to it, and then you can think of kind of like computer games, because you can be a lot more flamboyant than that, and you can have special effects and stuff, and you can think like gaming cutscenes for your action. So, you can have a limited amount of movement, like you say, like you could move around a space in the room and characters and stuff like that. You don't want too much of that, because people will be feeling really ill.
Yeah.
But for by and large, if you're like kind of stood in the place and you're being a witness to events happening around you in a movie / like game cutscene kind of scenario, that could really work. And like you say, scene by scene, you could piece together a movie with that very different kind of approach. But I mean, there's going to be so much more goes into that because you're bringing so many of those things from all those different genres together. You know, like in a theatre show, again, you can go off the sides, and there's all the mechanics that happen behind it off the curtains.
Yeah.
But you can't have any of that, so you've got to meticulously design each of the sets, and you know, incorporate all kinds of CGI and stuff like that if you're going to have action. And yeah, so it becomes a completely different craft. So many pulls in all the different. Yeah, it probably will be expensive for the first ones as well. So
there's
it's all in its birth.
There is another massive limitation, and it's the sole reason why I have not saved up and wanted to purchase a headset myself personally, because there isn't. It costs too much right now as an alternative to experience films.
Yeah.
It doesn't have enough games in its repertoire for me to consider it also being affordable. And considering the fact that most of the games I would have to play, if you look at my studio space, it is not enough room to play VR games in a standing position. I could only play seated games. And so that also massively narrows down my options into playing VR. So
yeah. Despite
my dreams as to what I want VR films and games to give me, it's not there yet. But I've seen its potential in all of the games and media that I have consumed wearing the VR headset.
Yeah.
And I think that anyone spending their money on VR, it's not a wasted investment. Anyone who has had a VR headset, I know people around them want to go and then experience VR because it is the next thing, and a lot of people have a lot of good things to say about it. And I've been a little bit judgmental until I experienced it myself, and then I'm like, wow, that does change things.
Yeah.
But the transition is going to be a lot bigger than it is going from one generation console to the next. This thing is going to evolve rapidly.
Yeah.
Would you say it
is? Yeah.
A big leap?
Well,
what's that?
Would you say it's going to be a big leap?
I'd say definitely. That is VR is a big leap.
When the next big game comes out, like you said, Star Citizen comes out. If Star Citizen's as big as you've always said it was going to be, and VR goes along with it,
I mean,
the crazy people out there who buy PCs are not going to waste. They're going to just blow their money on the next.
There is already so much out there on VR. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, though there are not any major AAA titles out there, because there hasn't been enough time to develop something of that kind of level of quality, there is a flood of people developing ideas.
Yeah.
And there is a massive market in its absolute infancy stage, which is people are scurrying away to work on. You know, it has opened up so much potential for people to realise certain ideas and dreams that the best is yet to come by far. We have not seen anything yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, we are just seeing tech demos and people's more advancing developing ideas, but and we are exploring what's capable. We don't know how well we can even adapt to the kind of movement. Is it, in 10 years time, will we look back and go, oh, can you believe people used to get sick in VR?
Now,
and it'll be like a real minuscule number of people who still do.
There is an alternative which is in development, and we've seen videos from Microsoft's HoloLens, and the HoloLens I think is quite a cool, interesting idea. I like the idea of holograms. Everyone remembers, was it Tupac? The holographic presentation?
Yeah.
It was mind blowing. Like, and there are holographic attendants at airports that people go up to and talk to, and then they get confused when they don't respond. Lifelike holographic projections are real. We have them.
Yeah.
And so I love the idea, and this is my dream of being able to play a board game with the holographic lenses on, and all of the miniatures on your board are moving. They're all alive. They're all animated.
Like Star Wars.
Like the Star
Like
Wars,
Star Wars.
exactly. Like, could you imagine bringing board games to life like that? Like, on your tabletop? But, you take your glasses off and they're just little miniatures on the table.
How much are the glasses?
The glasses, they're not... The prototypes are available, or... But, the same thing again. It's a case of being able to put them on, and your TV screen then is as large as the blank wall that you have to be able to project these... And so I think it's an alternative. I think both VR and the HoloLens are both, the two sides of the same coin almost. And I think they're both the next steps in how we're going to receive and interact with our virtual spaces.
I give it till Christmas.
Yeah.
You're giving
Christmas.
it till 2017 Christmas.
2017 December. If there's not a game that's come out and has just completely flooded the market with
It's
VR,
too soon,
and there's
Ian. It's still too soon.
Too soon.
Yeah,
You've
no,
got Christmas.
It
You've
doesn't.
got
It
Christmas.
doesn't work like that. I mean,
It
if
does
you,
work
if
like
you,
that.
If you think about the adoption of the mobile phone when that first came out, like you go, oh well, if there hasn't been 100 million mobile phones sold by year 2 of the invention of the mobile phone, then it's going to be a total failure.
No.
That's rubbish.
The
the
mobile
adoption
phone
of the mobile
developed
phone
over time.
It was
till
incredibly
it got better to the
expensive
point
when
where
it started.
now.
Ridiculously
VR
expensive.
headsets, however.
But now everybody has a mobile phone, and it's bizarre not to have one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And to the point where people are no longer use landlines. Landlines are slowly becoming a thing of the past. We don't even have telephone booths anymore because that's how
Telephone
all-encompassing the mobile is.
Yeah. I get
Third world
that, I get
countries
that.
access
But we're
the
talking
internet
about
through
VR.
the mobile.
We're talking about VR here.
But
We've already
I'm
discussed.
that's what I'm talking about is
Okay.
VR. And so what I'm saying to you is that
Christmas.
it is in its absolute infancy, but it is a huge market of potential. And what is going to happen is almost every conceivable thing you can think of, like, oh, I want to improve the way I design cars. Oh, let's do a virtual reality car design thing. Oh, yeah. Oh, look, they already are developing that, and that's already something that they're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to be able to train people how to put out fires. Oh, I now have a virtual reality fire hose, and we're now training people in virtual reality how to put out fires. I want to train a surgeon.
Christmas.
I want to take somebody
if
through
you're not
surgeons,
playing it by Christmas,
like an
if
operation.
it's not in every
with a
home
simulation
within a
body.
5-mile radius of me, it's just that thing, isn't it?
But this is the thing. It is going to continue to filter down,
Christmas,
get cheaper.
Christmas.
More stuff will be developed for it.
You look at it, right?
It's here
I'll
to
say
stay.
it now, and then by New Year's Eve 2017, you'll be able to use a VR headset to stand near your local fucking monument and watch fireworks, and it'll be glorious.
What will probably happen? Gary, I'll talk sense to Gary.
Okay, talk to me.
What will probably happen, Gary, is when the next wave of the big players comes out.
Yeah.
So the upgraded PlayStation VR headset, Microsoft finally brings out theirs. Although again, it's still the upgrades, isn't it? Because it's the pass-ons, the hand-downs, isn't it? It's when you go, oh, I've now got this dirt cheap VR headset because I've bought the upgraded
Because people have
one.
got like the development kit Model 1 Oculus Rift.
Yeah.
It's like, what do I do with this now?
Well, that's what I mean. When consumer
But they were the
version
early
Oculus
adopters.
Rift
They knew what they were
can be
getting
picked
into.
up for £100.
That's
Yeah.
what funded the
because
next
it's a cheap
step.
second-hand
That's what
product.
funded the next step.
Then it will be absolutely in everybody's home. But yeah, like the software that will be there to back that up that's all going to filter through in the next sort of 3 or 4 years.
I say if you are a tech person, if you love having the next gadget, you've already got one. If you are curious and you love gaming and films and you want to see what could be the next step in how you're going to experience those things, you've probably already got one. If you've got more money than sense, you've probably got one. But
if you've got a genuine use for it, in business or education, you've also already got one.
Yeah, but if you are, if you're working 9 to 5 and you've got kids to feed and and you've got bills to pay, and it's like, can I justify buying one of those things? Am I going to play it for 20 minutes and then move on to something else? And so, for the most part, at this moment in time, probably. Which, you know, but I
real-
do
That's
not.
why
That takes
the-
away nothing from the fact that, that once you have it and you experience it,
Yeah.
there is nothing else like it.
You
That's what I'm
immediately
saying,
see its
Christmas.
utility, don't you? You
Christmas-
immediately see its
yes.
utility.
Christmas
And that-
2017. If every
That's-
family can't get hold of this great next big step,
It won't make
wave,
any difference
and,
whatsoever.
Then it's
and its
not gonna
current
be-
price
It won't
tag.
make any difference
but
whatsoever.
the price
Because
will
what-
keep coming down.
What will happen is, like any great technology that has a vast amount of utility, like the PC, like the mobile phone, like the internet, like the television, like all these great inventions which become household consumer items that everybody has, virtually everybody. Huh, see what I did there?
No,
It is like with all of those things, it just takes time for adoption rates to sort of settle, and adoption rates are getting quicker and quicker all the time.
Yeah.
But they will eventually, whether or not you project it big or project it short, and you get carried away with yourself, think, the difference between a fad and a really like adoptable technology is its utility, and VR has that utility.
the only difference between a fad and something that's a success is if Santa Claus can deliver it Christmas Eve night. If he can't deliver VR
Ian,
headsets,
have you just been hinting for the last 20 minutes that you want a VR headset for Christmas?
well, you know, if I can afford it and it's workable, I'm buying it. If not, then it
You know,
just sits on the shelf and
They're
plays
just
dust.
eventually they're just going to become like Blu-ray players, you know? Like everyone will just have one. It's just
Wait, I got a Blu-ray player. What's everyone else got now?
It's all downloads now.
It's all digital now,
Digital
Ian.
now. Stream. I haven't caught up yet.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to bring us to the end of part 2 of the podcast. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be back for part 3. I need a refill, Ian. And welcome back to the third part of the podcast where we're going to be
Yeah.
answering your questions.
I'm on my third beer. That's good. I'm on my
Yeah,
third beer.
yeah, I've kind of gone through quite a bit of that, Jack, already, Ian. But
Yeah.
now I'm ready to answer some questions.
Okay.
So we're going to start with Rod Petrie,
Hey, Rod.
who says, "Okay, this is a scenario, Ian.
Okay.
I want you to pitch me something based off this question. Okay,
Yeah.
you're given the rights to adapt any property from any medium
I saw this question.
into a film. Okay,
Yeah.
what are you adapting,
Yeah.
and how would you approach it in terms of story,
Yeah.
characters, and faithfulness, as well as any other aspects that you can think of?"
Duke Nukem.
Okay.
Okay.
So who's playing Duke Nukem?
Vin Diesel.
Right.
He grows haircut just like Giles.
Was it Bruce Campbell who was at one point rumored to be cast as him
Yeah,
in a film?
that was rumors years and years and years ago.
Was it Kurt Russell as well?
He could be Duke's dad, and Duke. The aliens invade like Independence Day style, right?
Okay.
Cities are getting wiped out, women are getting kidnapped,
Yeah.
and the government have to unthaw Duke Nukem. Right? He's being held in cryogenic stasis for a certain amount of time. He's released, told that there's aliens, right? The commander's female, so obviously he's automatically trying to hit the moves on this woman. Yeah.
Right.
And
Who's
then
playing her?
Gemma Atherton, I
Okay.
suppose. You know, I'm Scarlett Johansson. She's playing
Right.
the commander, and so
Right.
she's really cold. But at
Okay.
the same time, it's fucking Duke Nukem,
Okay.
right? He goes out with a squad, right? And you know the squad are gonna die, but Duke doesn't let them die. He ends up killing like everything. Whenever they come across a large group of monsters, they beat the shit out of them just because Duke jumps in at the last moment and fucking kicks the shit out of it. But halfway through the movie, about 45 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
he gets to the big alien at the center of the invasion
Okay.
and ends up going back in time on his own to like medieval period or Western or whatever, you know, ends up battling back there on his own, meeting all these new interesting characters. Yeah.
Okay. I don't
And-
know. Duke is not really well known for its interesting characters.
Well, it's just characters that Duke interacts with. Duke makes
Okay.
them cool because, you know, he's turned up and
because
saved the
they
day.
experience his
Yeah,
presence.
because they experience
That
Duke's
makes
presence.
them cool.
Yeah. he then battles all the way. You know, we're now an hour and a half into another 45 minutes into the movie.
Okay.
Hour and a half. He gets to the next alien, takes him aboard an alien spaceship. Is now Duke on his own, right? And he's fighting the last load of aliens for half an hour. Bows all the way to the main guy, kills it, but the only escape pod is a cryopod. He leaps into it. It falls back to Earth, and because he's still in the past, it rests there until the government picks it up in the future. Boom, 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 boom.
So it's
Yeah.
Duke Nukem through time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Did you like that?
Yeah, okay. But Vin Diesel is Duke Nukem.
Yeah, he's a badass, man. I mean,
Yeah.
who else has got the
You
build?
know, Dolph Lundgren in his day.
Oh, Dolph
you know,
Lundgren back in
you
his
know,
day,
if they'd
yeah.
made this film sort of 20 years ago,
Yeah.
could you imagine?
Yeah,
He-
it's having the build and having
the
lines,
charisma and
having
the
the charisma
audio,
and
yeah.
the lines.
See, Kurt
Vin
Russell
Diesel-
would have been good.
Yeah, but Vin Diesel can carry himself, of course. I mean, it's when you hear "I'm Groot,"
Yeah.
you know. if he was stood there with sunglasses on and a massive guile haircut, you know, dressed as Duke Nukem with a cigar in his mouth, and he picks up this little Groot toy, and it's like, I wonder what we're fighting for. And flicks it off. You'd be like, go get him, dude! Go get him! And he'd be like, fucking. Just
Okay, so
yeah.
I saw this question too, and
Yeah.
and I really struggled to come up with something. I was like, oh, you know, all the ideas of
Duke
everything.
Nukem.
And no, what Duke Nukem was great, but I was like, you know what would practically be impossible, but was something I would love to work on or be
Okay.
involved in.
Yeah.
And I want you to help me with this and help me visualize
Yeah.
Dark Souls the movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, how do you cast it? Like, how would you tell a story considering the game's story is so well hidden in all of the objects?
You can't.
The
because
NPCs are all cryptic and vague, and it's hard to know what it is that they're selling you.
The main thing about Dark Souls is to die, so, you know, your character would have to continuously die.
Well, we've
over
seen
and
that
over
in
again.
The Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, which was good because scientifically it kind of works.
Well, in this world, the NPC characters also know, and they laugh, and it's a joke at one point that you're going to lose your soul over and over and over again because the whole Dark Souls thing is set upon the fact that it's in a cycle of never-ending light and dark.
Unless, visually, you have a Hollow, who's the main character.
Yeah, who's the chosen one or the Ashen one.
Who turns up at the Firelink where there is a group of adventurers, you know, your ranger, your knight and all that.
No. Because that was where I was immediately... As soon as I thought that, I had the same thought. And then I was like, no, we'll end up like Dungeons and Dragons the movie. You know? Where you have campy, two-dimensional, stereotypical classes.
No, because they fight through areas just like in the game.
So I was thinking maybe
Defeating
it's
different
like
monsters.
Predator, where you have this band of mercenaries or this band of heroes, but you realise them as more relatable characters than perhaps the Dark Souls game. But then how faithful is that?
They are there to get the Hollow to the last bonfire.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he lights the last bonfire... Okay, so... Right.
So it's like the Dark Souls
This
Rogue
might be
One.
the beer. This might be the beer talking, but I've just visualized Dark Souls movie. Right? Okay. It starts off with a Hollow turning up at the first Firelink shrine, just like in Dark Souls 1. You know, there's
becoming embers, restoring humanity. No.
There's a group of adventurers already around there.
Yeah.
You know, you got your knight, your pyromancer, your ranger. You got all your different classes all sat around there, and they're all planning on going to light the next bonfire.
Yeah.
But they know it's fucking hard as fuck, and they're gonna die. Hundreds of people have gone. They've all died trying to light these bonfires.
Yeah.
The Hollow turns up, who's the main character, but he doesn't say anything. He's just Hollow all the way through, right? He's a zombie, and they clad him in armor, and they give him weapons, and they lead him to the next bonfires, and he lights the bonfires during the course of the movie, going through all these different areas. Fighting all these different bosses. As they're fighting the bosses, the mercenaries start
get
to
picked
die
off and die until it's just him left.
Until there's one left and two left.
Or maybe one of them was the firekeeper.
No, two left and the Hollow.
Yeah.
One is trying to get the Hollow, and he's part of the Covenant of the Sun Bros.
Okay, yeah.
So he wants the bonfires all lit so that they'll be able to bring fire. And the other person, who you've trusted the whole way through, is then turned to evil because he doesn't want the bonfires lit.
Because one of them wants
And
it lit,
he-
one of
yeah.
them wants to put the
And
fires out
and
and
they
end the
fight at
cycle.
the end.
Yeah.
They fight together until obviously they both they both stab each other, but the invader dies first. The Sunlight Bros lying there on the floor as the Hollow walks up. They had this fight with the last Lord of Cinder.
Yeah.
The Hollow walks up, puts his hand on the bonfire, and it ends.
Yeah. So who do we cast?
Oh, anybody and nobody. You could have really old classic actors playing characters that they don't want to fight, but they're gonna have to because they end up dying.
You've got
at
to
some
imagine
point.
that these are all the veterans and the the champions of whatever continents in the Dark Souls world that they've come from. Come here to rekindle the fire.
You could make it massively epic and never go those places.
And you could also keep the dialogue slim, and you could do it very artistically, like the
it
games.
would just be imagery.
But whether it would be commercially viable, I don't know. I still think it would be an amazing feat to pull it off. But visually, stylistically, or with the music that's been presented in the games, translating it to film, it's going to be difficult.
No, because the other characters, like we said, the Merc group, they're all pretty skilled in their class, right?
It's a great way of telling a story through a film, but it's not necessarily the best way to tell it through a game. Although in the game, you do sort of summon other people in to assist you.
Yeah.
And
the Hollow is the main character, and during the course of the movie, he's scared to fight at first, but then as he gets better weapons and shields that they pick up, he actually becomes more skilled and is able to do counterattacks.
Yeah.
And learns pyromancy for a short time. There you go.
Yeah.
Dark Souls movie.
Cool. So, Craig Hall asks, who is your favourite movie composer
Hey, Craig.
and your favourite soundtrack? Not necessarily from the same composer. For instance, I love Ennio... oh my god.
Go on, Gary.
Ennio
Go there.
Morricone.
Okay.
Especially Once Upon a Time in America.
Nice.
But my favourite soundtracks are Aliens
Nice.
and The Crow.
Who did The Crow? Well, a lot of
There's
people.
various artists. Yeah. But it's a soundtrack, not necessarily a film score.
Easy.
Yeah.
John Carpenter. And
Yeah.
anything done by John Carpenter.
Even unreleased film tracks by John Carpenter is a great album.
Yeah. It's just...
But what's your... do you have a favourite John Carpenter score? The one, that just goes, that's the
thing.
Yeah.
Soon as if my mind needs to go blank, it immediately just goes boom boom. I look at people suspiciously.
If I had to choose my favourite John Carpenter soundtrack, I love In the Mouth of Madness. I think The Thing is great, but it's too simplistic. It's perfect. Don't get me wrong. But The Thing soundtrack is as perfect for The Thing as the Jaws theme is to Jaws.
Yeah.
But
the Jaws theme has got to be in the ocean for it, though.
But my favourite John Carpenter piece of music is Christine. I love his music to Christine.
Various artists.
Well, no, not the soundtracks, not the radio music, but John Carpenter's original score. Christine.
Well, like when the squeals and he got the I know.
No, it's that progressive rock-ish sort of feel to it. Just John Carpenter is amazing. For me, I'm going to say James Horner too. Absolutely some of my favourites. Star Trek movies.
Yeah.
Aliens.
Yeah. True Lies, I think.
Yeah, it's just that piece of music in Aliens is so good, but at the same time, I love the music in Alien 3, and to an extent, Alien Resurrection. Actually,
Ooh. It's on record now, dude.
Yeah. No, I said it in the review. One of my favourite things about Resurrection was its soundtrack. It's not as good as the other two, but it's still something entirely different, and it gives a whole new mood and flavour to the Alien.
Yeah.
Just from its music. And I've said before, and I sometimes I hate it when I edit a review together and I go, we didn't even talk about the music.
It's always the last thing.
Because when you watch a movie, the music does so much of the work, and if it's good, you don't even notice it.
Yeah.
It's usually in a bad movie when the music is giving itself away, telling you when the jump scare comes, telling you when to feel sad, telling you when to feel happy. That's when you go, we recognise it. But good music just happens. And that's why often or not, I think if there's a review we've done where we've not mentioned the music, it was because it was so good, it was part of the feel of the film.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so Dominic Button asks, have you considered selling any merchandise? I saw Ian wearing a t-shirt on a few reviews and I'm dying to get my hands on one to show support when I'm out and about.
Dominic Button?
Yes.
Hey, Dominic. We've purchased t-shirts in the past and realised it costs money.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, which obviously we then had to look into saving. And I have looked into just purchasing t-shirts for said subscribers, but obviously funds are difficult to come by. We have a guy, Tony,
Yeah.
who works for Smart Effects in Saltash.
Yeah,
near-
it's fairly
Plymouth.
local to us, and Tony's appeared on a couple of our reviews.
Yeah, he did. He was in Predator, and he was in Mortal Kombat.
and he did the effects for
There's a
Fido.
lot of special effects for us as well. He's the guy to go to. So if you
So
can,
we know a guy who can do the t-shirt.
yeah,
But if you want to know the truth, Dom, is we haven't worked out the logistics of how are we going to ship t-shirts internationally,
yeah,
locally, how much are we going to charge, whether we can pay Tony to do the printing, whether we can make some money off it and make sure that we don't rip you off.
yeah.
And
you're,
also-
you're important. You're the customer.
You're the customer,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
want to make sure we give you quality fabric. We want to make sure that we get the size right, and we're like, we need to set stuff up. We need to. It's on our end. We know. We've talked about it. We've discussed it. We've just talked about getting t-shirts printed and sent to some of our patrons, but we haven't got that far yet.
Yeah,
It's in the works.
You got to talk to our guy.
We're
you
going
know,
to talk
if-
to a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah, if you can get hold of Tony, I'm hoping that he'll just get a flood of emails now, like, we need off-the-shelf t-shirts like this, and then he'll be like, guys, I got, the people are winning off-the-shelf t-shirts. I'll be like, sweet.
I've been putting it off, not intentionally, but I need to get hold of Tony again, sit down with him and go, we need to work something out. How much to make t-shirts, how much if we get so many orders through and sort something out, and maybe then get a web page put together where people can buy t-shirts and basically choose the sizes, or get Tony to help set something up.
Yeah, let's be honest. We were going to get him in to do special effects first for the Hellraiser series.
Yeah.
And we had these great plans, but we didn't have the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one thing to have great plans. It's another thing to have the money. And then you're like, I've got the money, but I've got to pay for this first. God damn it, world.
Yeah.
God damn you. Why?
Yeah. So yeah, t-shirts is a priority. It's going to happen. Do you reckon? We're going to make it happen.
Yeah, I'm going to make it happen. At some point. Next
So,
question.
Callum Sears says, "Hello, boys.
Hey, Caleb.
I have 2 questions. Is that okay, Ian?
Okay.
No, is that okay?
Yeah,
So
I
is it
can,
okay?
I can handle 2 questions.
Okay, that's good, because there's quite a few people with multiple questions.
Yeah.
Are there any movie franchises that are considered classics? Are considered classics that you just cannot stand? And in this instance, I don't mean a franchise which started well but became awful. Hellraiser franchise, Jaws franchise. I mean a franchise where every film is considered great, masterpieces even, like Toy Story or Lord of the Rings, but you still can't stand them in their entirety. Now,
can I be honest?
Oh, you have to be. Ian.
I have to be honest. Right, okay.
Well, maybe not.
I don't know. By the time this podcast goes out, I don't know if the review will have gone up past all the copyright logistics, but
Yeah.
Sleepaway Camp.
But
we got asked to do Sleepaway Camp a lot leading up to doing the review for it, and we did the review for it, and it's gone up.
The entire franchise is not considered a classic.
People
The
liked
first
the
one.
first one.
Yeah, the first one.
The first one sucks.
No, yeah, but okay. So you're saying that the first one sucks, and okay, but
And thus, the
but
rest of
he's
the movies after
Yeah,
the
but
Sleepaway
all the rest of the Sleepaway Camp sequels do suck. But he's asking you about it on a franchise that doesn't suck at all.
Would it,
Or none of the films are considered to suck.
well, Sleepaway,
But a lot of people hate all the Sleepaway Camp sequels.
yeah,
There's very few
I hate
defenders
the
of
first
them.
one as well.
I'll give my answer,
Okay.
and it is controversial.
Yeah.
I might have said it before, but I'm not a fan of the Godfather trilogy. Now, I know people love and hate the third film,
Yeah.
but by and large, it was considered the best trilogy up there with Star Wars for the longest time. And granted, I stumbled across the Godfather films way too young. This was like when we had VHS tapes and my dad had recorded them off TV.
Yeah.
He made those tapes so that you could not record anything else onto those tapes. They were sacred tapes.
Broke the tabs off. Yeah.
Broke the tabs off those. You do not touch Dad's Godfather tapes because you don't know the next chance they'll be on TV or whether you can buy them locally in the shops.
Yeah.
So it was sacred films.
Yeah.
And I watched them then and I was like, this is so boring. And then when I grew up and really started to appreciate film and start to study film, and I watched The Godfather and I was like, I'm sorry, I've already seen Goodfellas. Now, again, I know The Godfather is a fucking pedigree movie.
Yeah,
but
it gave birth to Goodfellas.
I am not a major fan of crime, syndicate, dramas.
You don't like gangs.
I don't like...
You don't like
But the
gangs.
thing is, I like warriors.
Yeah, that's the... Well...
I like Gangs of New York.
See, now the Warriors are something different because obviously, they're a unit on their own. Where obviously The Godfather and Goodfellas are this massive conglomerate of families, who control other aspects. It's... Your view also comes, when it floods into like Menace to Society, where you don't like those type of gangs. And you just gotta... I'm trying to dissuade you from not liking the Godfather
There's nothing
trilogy,
you
but
can do or say.
do
It's fine because when we've reviewed films in the past and some people have gone, "Oh, Ian, I can't believe you don't like Audition. You must be a dumb inbred retard." And it's like, what? And I know some people have that same reaction when you don't like something which is considered a masterpiece of a franchise, and it's understandable. Not everything is for everybody.
Yeah.
And so people will not like some films. And so, I don't like the Godfather films. I don't want to watch them.
Yeah, okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question. I hope you don't hate me.
Sleepaway Camp as well. Don't like
So second question from Callum. Have you seen the restored director's cut of the late, great William Peter Blatty's Legion, Exorcist 3? It was released on Blu-ray late last year. If so, what did you think?
I own the 5-box Exorcist DVD collection. And I will admit, the first one is amazing. The second one is difficult to get through, but not impossible.
Yeah.
The third one is really, really good. And I don't know what version I watched. I think it was the unrated version. It's the one with the giant scissors and Brad Dourif.
I have only seen The Exorcist 3 once, and it was when I was really young and at a party and was more interested in what was going on at the party than the film, I'm afraid. And
we should add it to the list.
Yeah. Like I said in the Exorcist review, there has been a revival of the Exorcist sequels, just like there has been a revival of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequels, where people have gone... The sequels, at the time, the sequels were considered inferior cash-ins.
Yeah.
But people are looking at them now and going, there's actual artistic merit to these films when looked at as an individual piece, not within the context of a franchise.
But they all end the same. I mean, there's the new Exorcist TV series, and like I said, I got the 5-disc box set, and you've got Dominion and the prequel, which are pretty much the same movie, but filmed by different directors.
Yeah.
It didn't make me want to go back and watch them, but Legion did stand out for me. And answering your question, if I've seen the unrated version, I'm going to say yes, and it was really good. I kind of enjoyed it more than I enjoyed Exorcist 1.
Okay. So, next question is from Laurie Condon, whom my questions are, how did you and Gary meet?
Hi, Laurie. You could listen to...
I was going to say, wait a minute.
Yeah, didn't we talk about this in podcast number 2?
I think so, yes.
In one of the previous podcasts, we did talk about how we met in a club. drinking, talking about films. That's kind of the breakdown.
Yeah. I guess I was kind of hoping that Geoff would be here, so maybe he could explain how he met us.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But Geoff wants to go play board games, which is fine.
Which is fine. Yeah.
It's fine.
And
But yeah, we already discussed it in a previous podcast, so that would probably be the quick answer. The elongated answer was
we got really drunk and bonded very quickly over films that we loved, which has not gone away.
Yeah, he could be wrong sometimes.
So can you. So, Laurie's second question: do you guys play D&D, Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah,
you do. Yes, you do, or yes, you know what D&D is?
I've played Dungeons and Dragons once, and that was Dungeons and Dragons on the PSP.
Well, I guess that's fair, because I could say, yeah, I've played Dungeons and Dragons Neverwinter.
Yeah.
But no, I actually played Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition.
Yeah.
Way, way, way back. I think it was 2nd edition. And I had like the starter campaign. I remember my very first Dungeons and Dragons campaign. Can you guess where you start?
Where?
In a prison cell. Yeah. It's where every good adventure begins. And I remember the first time I came across my very first Dungeons and Dragons NPC character was locked in a cell.
Yeah.
And the DM gave the description that he was slightly hairy and had a torn shirt and pointed ears. And I was like, great, he's a werewolf, let him out. And of course you open the cage and he turns into a werewolf and attacks you. And I was like, no, I want to be your friend. Let me survive the attack. I want to be a werewolf like you. And I guess I didn't get the point. Dungeons and Dragons, you're supposed to slay the monsters, not be a monster.
Yeah.
And since then I've been the DM. And I've been every single werewolf and monster that there is and try and kill the heroes instead.
Technically Zombocalypse
our
is
version,
a D&D game.
Like we said in our board
Previous
game
one.
section of the second podcast,
Yeah.
We play a form of Dungeons and Dragons which is more miniature and board game based.
Yeah.
I kind of say the best way to describe it is if you played XCOM, where you move your soldiers around in the video game.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a zombies version of that.
Yeah,
where we have
yeah.
board pieces, you move them, they have range. But there are social interactions with the characters, which are like Dungeons and Dragons, where you'll have skill tests and dice rolls, and there's a DM that oversees the story. So in a way, you play Dungeons and Dragons, just not officially Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I played it since then and still kind of like DMing even today.
He's a bastard.
I like to be fair.
No. I'm just sorry, but no. Been playing games with you for years, and
I always make sure the heroes win in the end. I just hope that they have a good bad time or a bad good time, if that makes sense.
no, it doesn't.
You have to make them struggle, and otherwise they're not going to have fun at all.
You're the one. Carry on. Next question.
Larry's next question. Have you ever been to the US? Ian, you upset me once. You upset me so bad. I had tickets. I had plane flight. Ian, I'm going to Universal Studios.
Yeah, I know.
We're going to go on the Hulk ride.
Yeah, I know.
Come, Ian, to Universal Studios with me. The hotel's paid for. All you have to do is buy your flight. But first, Ian, you've got to get yourself a passport.
Yeah, I didn't have a passport.
And you just didn't do it.
I didn't have a passport.
And you made me go.
You had fun?
Well, yeah, I did. I got to tell you all about it and relive it all over again.
Yeah, I've never left England, really. I'm going to Belgium this year, which is exciting.
It's the first time out of England.
Pretty much.
Have you been on a plane yet?
Yeah, I've been on a plane to Guernsey.
Okay.
That's about as far. Guernsey's one of the Channel Islands, which is about 5 miles offshore or something. But, okay. It's having the money and the time and being in the right place and getting on this fucking giant metal thing and flying across halfway around this giant globe in the middle of space.
Have you seen too many plane crash movies?
I have watched Final Destination way too many times.
Have you
just
seen
be like, hey, let's just get on a plane and go flying.
The first time I got on a plane, all I could think of was Alive.
Yeah, that'd be me. I'll be like, Oh, it's not that I'm afraid of flying. I'm just afraid about what's going to happen while I'm in the plane. You know? Traveling to the US, my wife and I really want to take our son to Disneyland. I really want to go to Disneyland.
To Florida, yeah?
And I want to go to Florida, and I want to go to Universal Studios, and I really want to wrap it all around WrestleMania weekend.
Right.
And be able to have 2 weeks in, like, 1 week in Disneyland, WrestleMania weekend, second week Universal Studios.
Yeah.
At the same time, Donald Trump has become president of the United States.
They're not going to let you in, Ian.
Dude, I really want to get on a plane and fly to places, but shit happens in these places, and I'm like, really? Enough shit happens here that I just don't want to jump on a plane and go, see ya.
Yeah. Well, I've been to the US a couple of times.
Yeah.
I've been to Florida, which it was fine. I went down to Miami and saw the Miami Dolphins play in their stadium.
Nice.
That was amazing. That was it would have been better had I not had the worst toothache I'd ever had in my life. Not only that,
Sorry.
I'm allergic to the sun.
Yeah, that's my issue too.
And Miami heat, it killed me dead. And then with that toothache, I still enjoyed my time.
Yeah.
Also been to Virginia. The Blue Ridge Mountains is one of the most beautiful natural landscapes that I've seen.
Yeah.
Took some great panoramic pictures while I was there. Where else did I travel to? I've been to Canada. Went and saw Niagara Falls.
Nice.
There's a couple of other states that I have visited, and in my drunken stupor right now, I can't remember. So yes, I have been to the States, and I have actually got an opportunity to go back to Florida this Christmas if I want to go away and go back to Universal Studios again and see all the new rides. And I love the film rides. My favourites was Jaws, which I think they've taken away.
Yeah.
Back to the Future, which they've taken away. Terminator, that was awesome. Jurassic Park, that was awesome. The Mummy ride, that was awesome. I love my theme parks.
Yeah, I get it.
So, next question. Same person.
Yeah.
Fourth question. Is Feast the best trilogy? Or the greatest trilogy?
No.
I saw your review for Feast from way back, and now I'm giving you a chance to repent here, because maybe we might have said it is the greatest trilogy. And considering we didn't even mention Feast trilogy during our trilogies podcast.
Did we not?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
but it was not forgotten because I remembered, probably when I read your question, that we'd not mentioned it, and I was like, but I still love the Feast trilogy despite the Feast sequels being vastly
Feast number 3 is the weakest. It's totally
Yes.
the weakest, and
but it has the funniest ending. The
there's-
giant robot stepping on him and the Mexican
Yeah,
singing
but
the
this-
Feast song. It's just, you watch the film just to have that Mexican singing the Feast song at the end.
And I think that's why I haven't gone back to the trilogy. I
No.
haven't gone back to the trilogy because the first one is really good and
It's one
good
hell
as
of
a
an assault on the senses.
Yeah, and it's a good standalone movie.
It's a good playoff against horror movies and your expectation.
The second one is good, but it's carrying on the story, so you kind of have to watch it.
You saw
after
the
Feast
budget
1,
limitations in the second
and
one.
it's a lot more of an assault on the senses.
Baby deaths and
Yes.
rape, monster rape,
grannies getting covered in fucking
and slime that acid melted.
acid semen. And then the third one with the robot. Yeah, like I said, it's the weakest. Best
But
trilogy.
it has the best. The third one has the best
The
line
Evil Dead trilogy.
when the Karate
The Evil Dead
Kid
trilogy.
has his
Oh,
has
I
his
just
arms
remembered
blown off,
I just
and the
remembered the Karate Kid.
bartender says, "You don't need arms to kick ass, sonny boy." It's just fucking greatest.
Oh god, that's
You know,
good. Yeah.
get drunk, get high, watch the Feast trilogy, and you will be taken to another place in filmmaking that is just that is the unexpected sweet spot of horror where you watch a film and you're like, I'm not expecting much, and then you get something that goes, am I enjoying this? I can't believe they did this. You have no idea who's going to survive this.
Yeah.
It is disappointing that the sequels are not as good as the first one. It is, in my opinion, a great horror trilogy.
Yeah.
It's not up there with the best trilogies, but it is still great. Yeah?
Yeah. Not as good as the Evil Dead trilogy.
Well, yeah. Next question. Have you, Ian, ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Who has this? Same person?
Same person. This is Laurie's fifth and final question.
How many times have I seen Batman? 5, 6. I mean, it depends on what the devil looks like to you.
Ian,
It depends on how you dance. I've danced a lot, badly. I'm a bad dancer, but I don't care because, you show me a good dancer and it looks like martial arts, good dancing.
Yeah.
So Dancing with the Devil, he just, sacrifice a pig, run around a fire naked. I don't know where I'm going with this.
I'm like, where is this going?
Yeah.
Jesse says, 2 questions. Hey boys, from Bella.
Hey Jesse. Hey Bella.
It's funny when you disagree. Well, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Because Gary makes the same face I make when my mum is talking about something and she's wrong about it. But have you ever gotten mad at each other for real and had to stop? I would like to see that video. Thanks, guys.
Okay, I can't remember Bella.
Bella
is
is
Jesse's daughter.
Yes.
Okay, no swearing. Yes, we've argued and gone to the point where one of us has stormed out the room, but then we've always come to terms that Gary's wrong.
What?
And
this is just your mental block, Ian, where you just cannot see the other argument and will not even acknowledge another argument. You are just, this is fact. Nothing else will sway me from this is Ian fact.
It's not that. It's just that I'm omnipresent, so everything exists at the same time, and you have trouble seeing it from certain angles.
Yes, but I'm open to see those other angles, whereas I know, Ian, that most of the time you are
always.
not. And you are just set in your ways of... And I also know for a fact that when I have an allergic reaction to a film...
Yeah, here we go.
You will talk that film up as being the fucking best thing you've ever fucking seen. Now, I'm sorry, swearing already, I'm sorry. But that's because you know how to enrage me and know which films that I love and hate, so that you will then just rag on the films that I love, and or then big up the films that I hate. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's not that. It's the fact that I just happen to see things from a certain angle that everyone else has to kind of get in line with. If something is very...
Either you get in line with Ian's view, or you're wrong.
Because it works. Economically, it's friendly to that point, and we work to a system. The system always works. Now, Bella is the daughter and Jessie is the mum.
Yeah.
So at the moment, mum is right up until a certain age when the law says that you can, start making your own decisions. I just reached a point where my decisions don't actually involve hurting anybody or doing something economically friendly. It's not my fault everyone sees it wrong.
So, has there been any films that we have totally disagreed upon to the point of an actual argument?
Yes, Cabin Fever.
Yes. Now, me and Ian had a huge argument years and years before we even started recording the first episode of Off the Shelf Reviews, where I had said I'd seen Cabin Fever and I thought it was the worst film I'd seen in years.
Yep.
Ian, there's my DVD. I don't want it. Take it. Go watch it if you want to. Don't waste your time. And you came back and went, there's your DVD. You should keep it. It's fucking awesome.
Swearing.
But that's how you reacted.
Yeah, I did. It was amazing.
And you did that just because you already knew that I hated it.
No, because the film is brilliant. The film is a horror movie, but it's not a horror movie because it does everything that a horror movie doesn't do. It actually takes away the killer and makes it into just something normal. And everyone's like, oh, what? It's a fleshy virus. That's shit. It's like, she just got her head caved in with a spade. And she's just got eaten by dogs. And that guy's got a harmonica in his mouth. How is that not funny?
Yeah. Yeah. Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch is a good movie. I like Sucker Punch.
Like I said, I walked out of the cinema with that film, and then obviously we were going to review it, and so I had to watch it in its entirety, and still, I can never bring myself to go back to it.
I like a movie where a woman runs up a samurai sword, shoots a giant guy in the face, and then slides down it like she's fucking super badass.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
Yeah. Now, for the most part, because I'd say that you and I are that close of friends, that no matter what film came out, we might disagree about it, but we'd never fully argue about it. And if any of the reviews that we've done where we have disagreed, that content is in the video to the extent that we did disagree about it, I would say.
Yeah. We always agree that we are disagreeing.
Yes, to an extent. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, because we understand that from the other point of view, you know I'm right.
But I do know for a fact that we have had another request come in from a Patreon. Now, people listening already, explained to you that Absolutely Fabulous was a review that we did that was, as you have all guessed, a Patreon request. And
I love doing Absolute Fabulous.
I was nervous for the majority of our audience who are accustomed to our reviews and our selections of films that we choose.
Yeah.
And I would say, 95% now of all of our Patreon requests have all been films that have been really good videos for us.
Yeah.
Absolutely Fabulous is now one of those videos, and I know from the view count that it wasn't as successful as some of our other reviews. And it also confused the hell out of our audience looking at it going, why the fuck did they choose that? Oh, it was a Patreon request, and a lot of people were like an angry mob going, who requested that? We want names. And it's like, whoa. Ian, as you have said, we're here to review movies, and that is a broad spectrum of content that we can discuss.
Yeah.
Absolutely Fabulous is a movie, and it qualifies for us to discuss. But is it going to make interesting, entertaining content for our viewers? Only, and I will say only, if they want to watch us get angry and upset and rant about something which they already know is going to be awful.
See, now you're making it sound negative.
You're
making it sound negative, but let me just put it across,
Okay.
Okay. When you put forward a request through the Patreon page, which you can find the link in this podcast and all the other videos that we put up.
Yeah. The
Patreon request is prioritized and is reviewed for because that person has paid for it.
Yeah.
That has always been our view. And we know it hasn't picked up as much as, we'd like it to be.
That's fine.
But
we have a very loyal fan base, which is amazing. We have a very loyal fan base.
And so when somebody puts forward a request, we will review it. And we will review it honestly. Yes. As honest as we feel as we sit down to watch that film for the first time or the millionth time.
Yeah.
We sit down, pen and paper, set ourselves away from the rest of the world and review that film to then record it. When we record it, we may come up with an idea and just run with that through the review. I.e., Absolutely Fabulous. I watched it with my wife on Valentine's Day. We both couldn't believe what we were watching, and it just worked to make the review around that.
Yeah. I just want to say for those listening as well, I did watch the film in its entirety.
Yes.
And I was prepared to do the full review.
He had notes.
I had notes and everything. I even had favourite scenes.
Yeah.
Well, which consisted of the 2 moments that the film actually made me laugh out loud. But yeah, otherwise I would have been in the exact same boat as you, Ian, and would have just ranted.
You'd have just sworn a lot more.
Probably.
And that's the thing. We're never sure if when you give us a film, if we swear and are completely honest, because I'm a big swearer. I won't
stop blaspheming, Ian.
Yeah. I will try to stop blaspheming, but God damn it, I can't. Okay, just don't get me started. But I don't want to swear too much because people don't like that.
But
if the film makes me feel really, really, really angry, I get a loose tongue, and it's my problem. I'm trying to deal with it, but if you request Let me
Okay.
and let me just say, if you request a certain film, and I think I've said this film before, and I'm not going to say it again. If you request a certain film,
It will be blanket denied.
yes.
Okay. But there are requests coming in now. We're getting Patreon requests, which is great. Getting more patrons, which is awesome because I love the support.
Okay.
And I love the support, and I love the films that you love, to a point.
But
When a patron requests a film, they give us some money. That's the love and support. That's brilliant. It's helping us grow. But when they absolutely adore a film and they want us to discuss it, and I look at that film and just go, for fuck's sake, no! I do not want to watch this film again if I talk about this film that you love. You love enough to have me discuss it?
just
And
be
I
honest.
and I
Just be
destroy
honest.
it. I'm going to give you an honest
Just be
response.
honest.
And I'm afraid in the future it will happen more where I'm going to offend people's tastes in films. It's going to happen.
Okay, can I just call bullshit? Because I hate Halloween 4,
Yeah.
and it is just blaspheming. Shall I say? It's blaspheming, Ian. You should like Halloween 4. I don't like Halloween 4.
If you want to know where the blaspheming joke comes from, we have a commenter
Yeah.
right now who's commenting on every single video telling us to stop blaspheming.
So when
It's
you brought it up, I was trying to keep
I'm
it
sorry.
hidden.
I think it's funny.
we're not trying to insult this guy. You know,
No.
your religious views are your own, but we don't really see it that way. I mean, I look. I'm not going to go into the Monkey King now. That's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
So I'll keep the Monkey King to the separate. Getting back to films.
Yeah.
What film were we on?
We weren't discussing any film in particular. We were discussing patrons who request films that we might not ever choose to do.
And there's a
ourselves.
film that's come through, and Gary has gone to the point where he's like, really? And I'm like, do it. Just do it.
Well, I said to you,
Honest.
in this video recording that we haven't done yet, which by the time this podcast goes up, we probably will have done, and I will have had to have watched this film for the second motherfucking time.
Okay.
I painfully sat through it once.
Yeah.
I never expected to have to watch it again, and now knowing that I have to watch it again, I'm already getting angry. And this is a prelude to this fucking video that we're going to have to do, because I'm going to have to watch it again.
And the amazing thing is, I don't even know how I'm going to feel. I still have to watch it. I haven't watched it yet. This is... No, I can't say it. Next question.
Okay.
Next question.
Brace yourselves, audience. Our patrons will dictate the flavour of some of our reviews, but we still have our choices.
Okay.
We still have our input in the content. So, yeah. Okay, so second question from Jesse. Do you think you'll ever be able to take calls on the podcast, for instance?
I don't even know how that kind of stuff works.
Well, instead of them asking questions, they literally phone us up, either via Skype or another medium, and talk to us sort of live as we're doing the recording.
Well, we always thought about this because at one point while we were doing Off the Shelf, you were almost going to move to Greenland.
Yes.
Or Switzerland.
I was looking at taking a job in Iceland for 6 months.
Working for the ski
tour
lodges,
company.
Tour company.
Yes.
And so we did imagine actually working with Skype, where I'd be obviously on the sofa,
yeah.
and there would be a laptop next to me with Gary's head on it. But
or it would just cut to me.
Yeah.
Giving,
But I don't know how that technology works. You know, I suck at computers.
I think
I'm great at games.
I think it's possible. I think if we did look at doing Twitch streaming and more game streaming, where we would be able to just interact with our audience a lot more, but actually taking calls is something a little bit different. I think it's something we could look into.
We need to do another 24-hour.
Another 24-hour live stream.
I kind of enjoyed
it has been
the
a
last
year,
one.
isn't it?
I kind of enjoyed the last one, and I could do it again.
Yeah.
But you need to play games. You suck at games.
What?
You look at the Alien Isolation comments. They're honest, man. Your stealth is not up to code.
I told you I hate stealth games, but it's an Alien game, so I'm going to play it, despite my limitations at stealth games.
Get out there and,
So, in the future, will we take calls? I think it's a maybe. I'm going to put it on the maybe.
Maybe.
Chris McFadden says, can you do Beavis and Butthead Do America review in Metallica and ACD t-shirts?
Chris McFadden. Hey, Chris. Yes, I really want to do Beavis and Butthead Do America. I'm not entirely sure about
You're
Gary.
Butthead. I'll be Beavis.
What? Well, yeah, he is the smarter Butthead.
I'm a TP. TP for my bunghole.
TV for your-
It's been a long time since I've seen
Well, and
Beavis and
obviously,
Butthead Do America.
if we speak to Tony, we can get some t-shirts made from him.
Yes,
From
for
the
sure.
girl
Yeah.
in Smart Effects.
yeah. We'll get some custom. We'll get the likeness of those t-shirts done.
Yeah.
For a Beavis and Butthead review.
I'm a Beavis and Butthead Do America fan.
Yeah, I remember loving the film. I used to love the Beavis and Butthead show when it was on.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I think it's doable.
Let's see if we can get past copyright. Next question.
It's from Chris Thornton. What are your favourite games on retro consoles to play? And what's your favourite games to play on modern consoles?
Hey, Chris Thornton. I'm going to go with Duke Nukem 3D.
Not Doom? Is it a tie-in? Is it Duke Nukem 3D on the old console?
Doom 2016 is fucking awesome, but that's new game on new console.
Yeah.
Duke Nukem 3D on any old console is my go-to game, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would play Golden Axe, but shake it, baby. Shake it, baby.
Favorite games on retro consoles? For me, it was the Mega Drive, and Streets of Rage was up there. Cannon Fodder was one of my favorites.
Cannon Fodder's good.
I really loved Lemmings. I was addicted to strategy games. If you want to go retro, from the Mega Drive I went on to PC, and from there I was massively into real-time strategy games. Point-and-click adventure games like Phantasmagoria, Monkey Island,
nice,
and like I said, all the Command & Conquer games. Those are the old retro games. Just recently I managed to get Dark Colony working on my laptop.
Yeah.
That was from 1997. Still, great RTS game. I played that for a few weeks leading up into Halo Wars 2, which since I've done the review for that game, I've played it every day since.
Halo Wars 2.
Yeah, I'm addicted to Halo Wars 2. It is so good, and I'm still playing it. Just at the time of recording this podcast, Mass Effect Andromeda has the sort of 10-hour early access trials gone out. I've played about 5 hours of the multiplayer so far.
Yeah.
Haven't touched the single player yet. I know by the time this podcast goes out, I would have probably already sunk at least 20 hours into the single player. I know all the early sort of reviews are saying that the animations of the human characters are not quite up to standard. Some of the stuff feels poorly written. I know I'm going to overlook a lot of this stuff because I know that the world is massive.
Yeah.
And I hope at this point that it is as immersive as it is beautifully stunning to look at. So, what am I still playing today on modern consoles? Dark Souls. I talk about it too much. I know.
We are playing Dark Souls 3.
You've just started playing Dark Souls 3, and then I've come back. Your level sort of 30-odd character. I'm coming in with my level 200 character.
I just want to complete it.
I'm enjoying playing it through again. You're getting invaded by other players. We're still getting killed by them as well. It's the fun factor is not going away.
Yeah.
It's not. So Jay Hodgkinson
Yeah.
says, top 3 favourite gaming series and top 3 favourite games of all time. Not what you think are the best things ever made, just what did you have the most fun playing. Top 3 gaming series for me, Dark Souls, Mass Effect, The Witcher.
Nice.
Though my runners-up, Resident Evil franchise, the Silent Hill franchise.
See, I'm thinking Duke Nukem again.
Am I not surprised, Ian?
It's a great game series. Doom the game series. Dishonored, great franchise. I'm looking forward to Prey. BioShock was amazing.
BioShock was amazing, yeah. I was a big defender of BioShock too when a lot of people hated it.
It's silly to say it, but Sonic the Hedgehog, Mario.
Is that your favourite? You still enjoy playing those?
Do
you still play Mario?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've still got Mario, Super Mario Brothers World on the Wii U.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to getting a Switch and hopefully the new Mario game that comes out on that.
I've had this conversation a couple of times in the last 2 weeks, actually. The Zelda franchise is perhaps the only franchise and game series that I'm not up to date with.
Right.
It's one of those games that I played on the SNES when I was playing SNES games or Super Nintendo games, and I played it one and a half Zelda games.
Yeah.
And since going on to the Mega Drive and then onto PC, Zelda games kept coming out, and I was like, and everyone said that these were the best games ever, and I was like, I'm playing Final Fantasy, and gone onto the PlayStation now, and so it's one of those franchise games that I know is there and that I should go and play because they are celebrated.
You're
as
not
such.
a Nintendo fan.
And yeah, granted, I'm also not a big Nintendo fan, but I know those games are there. And if there's a chance, I don't know, 10 years from now, it's something that I would like to go to. The other great game series was Legacy of Kain.
Legacy of Kain.
I played the Legacy of Kain, and I played the first Soul Reaver.
Yeah.
But I know that is a much more expanded franchise than I've also continued to play. So... So we're going to take a momentary break here because Ian has drank so much, and he's literally just shown me a message. He's written it down.
What?
Because it's so funny. And
okay.
You broke down and passed me a message that says I need to piss. Small break, everyone. Piss break. You feeling better now, Ian?
I'm feeling better. Thank you very much. You just embarrassed me in front of like 8,000 people. How many subscribers have we got?
We're approaching 7,000, which is awesome.
7,000 people have probably just listened to you say Ian needs a piss on a podcast.
Well, I know. You know what? I just think it's funny, Ian, because we don't have podcast etiquette yet.
No, we don't.
And usually we don't drink. Or
I don't have etiquette.
Well, yeah. Well, no, but that's why I thought it was so funny that you I don't know how to tell Gary that I need to go for a piss.
It was the most professional.
It was the very professional way. I probably handled it in a very
drunken way.
Well, what do you expect? I'm drinking. Yeah.
If you're enjoying this podcast the way it is, we are enjoying this because it's probably the most relaxed we've been in a long time.
Yes.
Where we've actually just sat back, kicked back, been as honest as we can with a couple of beers without having to bust our asses trying to stay within boundaries when
True.
we're recording.
And so you're getting us at our most natural and probably our most vulnerable. But
I'm not vulnerable. I'm omnipresent. Next question.
Jack Hawkins says, boys, did you ever see Guest House Paradiso? Easy answer. Yes, of course. I saw it immediately. I was a huge fan of the young ones, so much so that during school assemblies, me and 3 of my friends would reenact the young ones to the entire year group. Can you guess which character I played?
Rick Mail.
No.
Oh, what?
I played the hippie. Neil.
You, the hippie.
Yeah, I played the hippie.
That's kind of hard to believe.
It's heavy, dude. It's really heavy. My best friend played Aid Edmondson's character, Vivian.
Nice.
And believe it, I think it was, I'm trying to remember, Rick and Mike were sort of our interchangeable cast.
Yeah.
But still, I love the young ones. I loved Rick Mail. Loved Bottom.
Guest House Paradiso, though, was...
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is it's not Rick and Eddie from Bottom. It's
It
Rick
is.
and Eddie. No, it's not. If you watch an interview with either of them, they both say it's not. They have different names. They are alternate universe versions of those two characters.
But the story is, one of them's inherited the hotel.
Yes, but it is not their Bottom characters. It is not them two.
I would imagine it was.
Yeah, and it is a common misconception, but it is not Rick and Eddie from Bottom. It is alternate characters. With extreme similarities.
It
yes.
still makes it enjoyable, but I mean, Rick Mail's better in Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, a lot of his films are not that great. I think his TV and his slapstick and his humor, when he's in his serious roles, not too big of a fan.
Serious roles?
He did a lot of serious roles, sort of TV dramas, and I'm just like, I just want to see him get punched in the dick. You know, I
Yeah.
want to see him slap Ed around with a frying pan.
Yeah, that's good. That's a
Well,
good point.
Next question from Todd Washburn, who
Hey,
says, Ian, where do babies come from?
I saw this question, and I came up with one word:
Yes.
vaginas.
Okay. That's probably the correct answer, actually.
But that's it. I mean,
Yeah. Without going into too much detail.
yeah.
You want to go into detail?
C-sections.
I was expecting a different answer from you, Ian, but you got real serious.
Yeah, but that's the only other way a baby can come out is for a C-section.
I thought they came from eggs when creature
The
gets on your
stork.
face, and then a weird sort of thing happens with your chest.
Yeah,
and...
no, see, now you're mistaken again.
Oh.
That's chest burster.
Chest burster.
Yeah.
Next question is from Alexander Kirik, who says, is there hope for a Resident Evil series review in 2017?
Is this Alexander from Facebook?
It is indeed.
Hey, Alexander. Love the memes. Love the pictures you throw out. Is there hope for the Resident Evil series?
Ian, if I had my way and I could twist your arm right now, I want to do the entire Resident Evil film franchise for this Halloween. I want to do that.
See, I'm confused because you say you don't want to hate on something because people may like it, but you want to go at the Resident Evil series.
Yeah, I've had...
You don't
it's
like
been,
the Resident Evil
yes,
series.
But Ian, I have been living with this pent-up frustration about the Resident Evil franchise that I have not yet been able to get off my chest. And it's building.
There's a lot of hate there.
Yeah, I know. And I need to siphon it out.
I know, and I don't understand why we haven't done it. You know, you don't want to do films like Dirty Dancing. You know, okay, I understand, but Dirty Dancing is a better movie than Resident Evil. Going on a limb.
Don't make me say it.
Yeah,
Don't make me say
what
it.
do you want me? Really? Really? Because we've done films like Jaws 3 and Halloween 4.
Yeah.
And then you're like, why don't you...
We've still got to do
how do you
Hellraiser 10 this year.
You love a lot of films which are actually quite pants.
Yes, I know.
And then you go, we want to do the Resident Evil series. And I'm like, do it then. You know, fucking let's do it.
So, Alex, in response to the question, it's highly likely. It's highly likely you will at least see some Resident Evil reviews this year. We might not do all of them. We might do all of them. We might just do some of them. But I think this year you will see them because I can only hold up what I have to say about those Resident Evil films for so long. Yes.
Have we got another question?
Yes.
We have one more.
We have 3 more questions.
I have a question for the audience.
Okay.
If they can hold out, I've got a question towards the audience. But read the next question.
Oh, okay. It's from the Callmaster 98, who
Hi,
says,
Callmaster.
love these podcasts, boys, and I have another question. If you could erase one film from your memory, what would it be and why?
Oh my god.
Now, it could be a film that you want to erase from your memory so that you could go and watch it for the first time ever. And I always remember the first time I watched Aliens. Never seen Alien. I was only about 13. And I got an hour into Alien and fell asleep. And then somebody said, let's watch Aliens. And I was like, oh, that was really boring. Nothing happened in that film except from a nightmare sequence at the beginning. And, like, if only I could have eaten my own words or gone back in time and slapped myself and gone, no, you fool! This is the greatest film you'll ever see in your young adult life, you idiot! And so if I could erase ever seeing Aliens or any of the Alien movies from my memory and then go and watch them all for the first time, I can only imagine how I would react now as I have had loving them my whole life.
Prometheus would probably make more sense.
Just to erase Prometheus.
No, if you erased all the Alien movies and then started at Prometheus and then moved into Alien, it would probably make more sense.
You reckon?
I think so.
Or less sense.
No, because you'd be like, oh, this is directed by Ridley Scott. You know, he directed Blade.
Would you erase Halloween Resurrection, Ian? Would you erase Hellraiser Revelations?
You know what? I'm a sucker for punishment. I probably wouldn't erase any franchise. They're bad for a reason.
Would you erase Absolutely Fabulous from your mind? If
No.
you could.
No, because I enjoyed watching it with my wife.
Yeah.
I may.
I'm of the
I
philosophy
may
that
erase Tekken.
you may erase Tekken. I'm under the philosophy that all experiences, good and bad, help shape your interpretation and experiences
Yes.
with everything else
Yes.
that follows.
Yes.
And so whoever is like erasing bad decisions that you've ever made, you know, you can feel the regret and remorse for those things, but those things help shape who you are. And so it's not really worth taking any of them away. But I like it's the fact that it's a hypothetical question.
Yeah, but if you could erase Tekken 2, you'd erase Tekken 2.
But you wouldn't be erasing it permanently. You'd just be erasing it from your own mind. So...
If I could erase it from existence, I would.
Mm-hmm. Granted, yeah. Okay, so this is a mispronunciation of a name that I've been getting wrong for a while.
Okay.
Mr. Seamus Hobo. And it's
Seamus. I thought it was Seamus.
Yeah, it is Seamus.
Seamus.
He's pointed out that I've been getting it wrong.
So it's Seamus from WWE.
It's an Irish name. And he says, even though you've been getting it wrong, thanks, you're my favourite channel along with Red Letter Media.
Yeah.
And when you say that it makes me glow inside because I love Red Letter Media too.
He loves Red
and
Letter
so
Media.
if you put us on the same scale as them, that it makes me feel good. Thank you very much. But so he says, would love to hear you guys talk about adaptations. Do you have any favourites? Can't believe we have never seen any real H.P. Lovecraft movie adaptations. So, but there have been quite a few H.P. Lovecraft adaptations.
Yeah, but...
Ish.
Yeah, ish. I mean, we know there's a few out there, and we've discussed them about reviewing them. But there's none that actually stand out and say... For example, The Curse.
Yeah.
The Curse is The Colour in Space.
Yes.
But it isn't called The Colour in Space.
It's called The Curse.
So
The Reanimator.
Yeah,
You know?
The Reanimator, In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah.
Dagon, I suppose. I haven't seen
Dagon,
them.
I haven't seen Dagon.
I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, you could...
Now, there was a James Cameron and Del Toro collaboration where they were working on At the Mountains of Madness, which was going to be the H.P. Lovecraft adaptation, but the studio wouldn't finance both of them. I was like, for real? Like, James Cameron and Del Toro come to a studio and say, we're going to make a film. And the studio goes, no faith in this project.
Yeah, because it's
no
so
money.
Because it's so much money. Because it's so much money.
But do you not think that those names are bankable?
Yes and no.
Well, I guess no to Del Toro because, they declined, a lot of his projects.
Del Toro is a hard person to get behind. You have to be a fan for a while.
True.
James Cameron is easy to get behind, but you need to know who he is first. And he did spend 10 years making Avatar, so it is questionable where his view lies.
And how much money it would cost.
Yeah. H.P. Lovecraft, when he says this thing is undescribable and it's in front of this person, how do you make that on screen?
Yeah. Yeah.
John Carpenter did it the best.
He did it very well.
When he described, Sam Neill looking into the abyss, not being able to understand what he's looking at, turning away and running. Yeah. We got a few glimpses. That worked. Making a big film about it?
Well, there's an H.P. Lovecraft game adaptation that's in the works. And it should be out later this year. So maybe that will be, other than the Call of Cthulhu video game, will be as close to as an honest-to-God H.P. Lovecraft visualization as we can come to.
Yeah.
So, final question, Ian.
Okay.
Is from Matthias. And I just want to say, Matthias, you just recently sent a really nice email to us detailing some of the things that he thinks that we could work on.
Yeah, I remember you reading it to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and did you have a response?
Yeah. Sorry. Matthias, it was a really agreeable email. We've taken on board all the points and yeah.
He highlighted the fact that I talked about having skits in some of our episodes.
Yes.
And he just gave an honest reaction as to... And that's how I feel about other YouTube reviewers sometimes, where they have skits. And you're like, I'm here for the review, not the skit.
Yeah.
Where the placement of the skit should be.
We are just natural with the review. Like with, going back to it again, Absolutely Fabulous. It was an idea that we came up with, and we all agreed on a entertainment basis that it worked.
Yeah.
You not wanting to be there to completely,
lose my shit and say how I really feel about the film.
Other times, like with our Predator reviews and our Mortal Kombat reviews, we've spent that extra money making it look good towards the skit that we're making.
Yeah.
But an ongoing skit, I've always agreed. It's just, it's quite long.
Yeah.
It's quite expensive.
So his question is, I was wondering what some of your personal favourite off-the-shelf reviews that you've done. These are some of my favourites. Society.
Yeah.
Prince of Darkness.
Yeah.
The Curse and the Bite.
Oh, God.
Static. Mysterious Skin. Jacob's Ladder and The Mist. And yes, that is a shortened list. Matthias, you have been one of our longest Patreons. I think you were actually maybe the first. You've probably seen a whole host of our videos, and I have had some favourites. I really enjoyed the Beastmaster review for some reason. The Deep Rising review I also enjoyed.
Yep.
I really loved working on the Fido review, just because we had Geoff involved in that one, dressed up as the zombie.
Yep.
Had a lot of fun doing that one. I really enjoy editing the reviews. It's sometimes like some of the Hellraiser reviews where it was like, fuck it, I'm just going to intercut a Queen song into the middle of the review.
Halfway through.
Or it was like, you know what, fuck it, this Hellraiser film was so shit, I'm going to intercut Hellraiser into a domestic cleaning advert. It's when you have fun in the editing process as well as just sitting down to record it.
See, and that's the same with me, because every review we've done since, I think it was Shaolin Soccer I edited.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I really picked up the reins and realised I need to get down with you. I need to start editing the reviews, get them out weekly, keep them running. Every single one, once we've recorded, once we've edited, it goes up. I don't watch again because I just know.
Yeah.
I know I've done as much as I can to make it as entertaining as possible. So everyone becomes a favourite. It is when I look back and I'm thinking, why the fuck doesn't Gary like Harvey? That doesn't make any sense. Or why did we watch the Fast and Furious series?
All 6 movies.
All
and now
6
there's,
movies.
8 of them.
And this brings me to the question that I was going to bring to the audience is, why don't people like Metropia more?
Yeah, it's one of our most obscure videos with the least amount of views on it, and it's one of our oldest videos.
One of our oldest videos. That movie was breathtaking. I think that really tipped us over when we started thinking, let's start reviewing, because nobody was talking about Metropia.
Not a single review for it,
and people still aren't.
Or a video review for it.
People still aren't watching Metropia. They're like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre's out. Oh my god, let's watch that review. And I'm like, okay. But it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We've all seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Have you seen Metropia? There's some weird shampoo stuff going on in there.
Yeah. So the Society review, I really enjoyed that one. I like reviews that we can do where we get to sort of react to the visuals that we're seeing in the film.
Yeah. And
tie it in together. And I know we recently just did something similar with Sleepaway Camp that you mentioned earlier.
Oh, God, Sleepaway Camp, Gary. Why'd you have to bring it up again?
I don't know. I enjoyed that film. In the end of that film where you said, would I watch it again? And I said no. I actually would watch it again. I changed my mind.
Yeah, I knew you would.
Changed my mind.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to bring us to the end of the podcast, Ian. I just want to say thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll be back next month with another podcast, a new theme, new questions. Leave your questions in the comments section below. And, of course, film reviews every Thursday. Don't know what you're going to expect.
Yeah.
It's going to be varied. We're going to jump genres and we're going to jump times. And
we just do as we do. We just do our thing, If you got to the end of this podcast and you're thinking, you drunken bastards, you're absolutely right. But if you've grabbed a few beers at the start, you've sat back, you've relaxed, you've started listening, and you've gone to the end, leave a question, get back to the review,
take it easy.
Take it easy.
See you next time, everyone.